love. But do any of us have a pitch that we love? It might sound like an odd question, but pitches can be different sizes with big consequences. Why is that? And what are the actual rules? Back when association football started, pitches could be up to 100 metres wide and 200 metres long. That's longer than Ellen Road. Not the pitch, the stadium. Anyway, UEFA wanted a standard across Europe for international matches, which became 105 metres long and 68 metres wide. But some clubs have been rebels, not intentionally, but because of the stadiums. Take Highbury, for example. It was 5 metres shorter and a metre narrower, meaning away sides had a challenge to adjust. White Hart Lane was exactly the same. And actually, when Spurs temporarily moved to Wembley, they asked the FA to shorten the pitch. The FA, very offended by the sacrilegious suggestion, said no, which in fairness could have actually benefited Tottenham because when they moved into their shiny new stadium, the pitch was exactly the same size as Wembley's. Today, Forest Pitch at the City Ground is a big one. It's 2 metres wider than any other pitch in the Premier League. But the smallest of all, Craven Cottage, just 100 metres long and 65 wide. No excuse for not tracking your man. There are a couple of crazy outliers in Europe too. At Napoli's home ground, the Stadio Diego Armando Maradona, the pitch is a whopping 110 metres long. At least they don't play on a slope like Newcastle do. There's a 2-metre incline on the pitch at St James's Park. And don't get me started on the old pitch at Yeovil too. It used to be a slant of 2 metres corner to corner and across the halfway line. So UEFA have their standards, so do the FA, but they do give pitches in England some wiggle room. Pitches can be anywhere between 90 and 120 metres long and between 45 and 90 metres wide. I mean, the rules state you can't have a square pitch, but in theory you could have one that's 91 metres long and 90 wide. Imagine rocking up to play a Sunday League game and the pitch is basically a square. So there are rules and regulations on sizes, with a UEFA standard that roughly everyone follows, but as we all know, size doesn't matter, does it?
A very good morning to you. It's Monday, August the 3rd, 3 minutes past 6 o'clock. This is talkSPORT Breakfast with me, Jeff Stelling Andy Townsend, and Arnold Clark's Deal Drop. Get the new car feeling without the new car price. Discover some of their biggest savings and find your new car today. Andy, morning, how are you doing?
Good morning, Jeff. I'm very well, thanks. Very well. Lovely weekend. Nice little soiree up in the Cotswolds yesterday.
Lovely.
My friend had a nice little bash in his garden outside with some friends, which was all very nice. Weather was beautiful. So very good, pal. How about you?
Yeah,
okay?
Yeah, it's pretty lazy weekend, to be honest. Busy week this week, but a lazy weekend. It's going to be a blistering day today, isn't it?
I reckon it's going to be a roasting hot today. They do indeed.
You recovered. It must have been pretty hot in Dallas, wasn't it?
It was very hot in Dallas. It was. At times, it was incredibly hot to the point where almost couldn't walk out in it, couldn't walk about during the day. Up in the late 30s and apparently like getting hotter. That's the crazy part, even getting hotter even still. But I really enjoyed it. The stadium was amazing, Jeff. Brilliant. The atmosphere's in all of the games that I did. Atmosphere was terrific. And watched some good games. Did that, and then we went over to Atlanta to do the England-Argentina game. But I think all in all, a lot of the World Cup, the final was I thought Argentina just looked like they'd run out of gas completely and decided to opt for their plan B, which we know what that is. But all in all, I thought there were some decent games and it was a pretty good World Cup.
So you must, having been out there, you must have been sick of the sight of Gianni Infantino, because he was on our screen non-stop.
He was popping
And
up
he
every
still is,
time.
of course.
He is indeed, Jeff. He is. I mean, look, he's. Listen, when you're in that position, to serve the best interest of the game, and you're not there to concoct ideas that clearly lack the thought and risk the future of the game and its integrity. You can't do. It's just crazy. I said last week when I was in here last week with Andy Goldstein, I said I'm just surprised, Jeff, that somebody close to him hasn't turned round at some point along this journey and said to him, look, hold on a minute, Gianni, this isn't going to work. Do you really believe you're going to get support for this? Do you think the game needs this, wants this, is going to vote for this? And so it's bizarre, really. But listen, it's going to be interesting. UEFA effectively putting him on notice, and we'll see the lengths of the investigation that they go to really uncover what they believe obviously is there. But we'll see. But Infantino now is I think he's on an island officially of one, and he's in trouble.
Well, I'm not sure whether he's on an island of one. I think that's probably the issue, isn't it? I mean, Paul says, morning, Jeff, morning, Andy. Great to have you two older gents with all your worldly experience steering the ship today. Thank you, Paul. Very nicely put. He said, let's all unite against Infantino and his insulting ideas. Okay, well, here goes. My issue is, and you say he's in a minority of one at the moment. I'm not sure he is because, we haven't seen the African Federation, for example, come out against him as yet. And you know what? I've got this feeling he won't be forced to resign because he's shown his vanity. He's shown this astonishing lack of self-awareness. It's absolutely beyond belief that I think he will be so difficult to prize out of his position. David Bernstein's going to be on later on, and he will tell us how difficult it was to get rid of Sepp Blatter. And I think we're in a similar situation.
That's a good point. Yeah, look, I totally understand that. But I know that he lost a couple of senior people in senior positions. I think over the last few days at FIFA, people have resigned, and I just always feel when that sort of stuff starts happening, when others that a few weeks ago were reasonably close to him, all of a sudden have now just gone in the middle of the night in a puff of smoke. They're out the door, and I'm sure others would be tempted to follow. I just feel that I don't think it's going to happen quickly, Jeff. Whatever's going to happen, I'm sure it's going to be pretty protracted and drag out over the months ahead. But I do think eventually this will end with someone stepping forward, a credible contender that they feel could take FIFA forward in a different direction. And I'm pretty sure eventually something will happen, and he'll probably stand down. But yeah, in all the matches, one of the first images you saw with the game 5 minutes in, all of a sudden the monitors in front of you would have a picture of who was sitting next to Mr. Infantino and who was around him on that particular day. All sort of obviously it was all everyone was aware of that when he was in the stadium, you were made aware of it, etc. So yeah, in terms of the word like a vanity project at times, it was a little bit crazy. But listen, it'll be very interesting to hear exactly the full fallout from this and how and where it goes and how long it starts to take before it all unravels.
Look, it's been a staggering potential fall from grace. But never mind, Gianni, because even if nobody else loves you, you'll still love yourself. Just in the last few days, actually, Andy, as well, the legend that was Franco Baresi.
Yes.
Passed away. I think he was age 66.
Yes. What
a real shock. But what you played against him?
I did. I played against him twice. 1990 World Cup quarter-final, and then in 94 the opening game at Giant Stadium. And do you know, Jeff, a nice little story because, listen, first and foremost, what a player, and how very sad to hear a young man, 66, sadly passing away. What a player, what a leader, a one-club man, 20 years, all of that. Wonderful, wonderful career. But in 94, that opening game, Giant Stadium, ironically back in New York, in New Jersey, you get to the ground. You have to get there like 3 hours before, Jeff, a game, right? Those big games. because of traffic, and obviously they want to make sure you're all in there, etc. You get in there, so there's a lot hanging around before those big games. Then eventually you start to get ready, limbering up, you get changed. The buzzer goes, you're down the tunnel, you get held at the bottom of the tunnel, you're waiting for the green light before you're all walking out onto the pitch. And Franco Baresi, right, I was standing next to him. He turned to me, right, and looked at me. He did one of these. He gave me a look up and down, right? That literally, it wasn't good. So, and I thought, what's he looking at? Anyway, he did it again. He turned to me and looked me up and down, wagged his finger and shook his head. Didn't say a word. Wagged his finger and shook his head. And I was thinking, what on earth is he on about? And then it dawned on me. We've been there for 3 hours. We are just about to go out for the opening game of the World Cup. We're about to go, 30 seconds. We've got the wrong kit on. We are in white, green, white, and the Italians were in white, blue, white. He obviously saw that, spotted that, and realised that's not going to work. There's a colour clash here, and that's not going to work at all. And he sort of wagged his finger and shook his head. And nobody else in the tunnel realised we had the wrong kit on, apart from the great Franco Baresi. And it was at that point I turned round, and I think it was Packy Bonner behind me, and I said to him, have we got the right kit on? And then all of a sudden we realised we hadn't. And then it was pandemonium for the next 3 or 4 minutes to just try and get the correct kit on, which is not always easy with boots and socks and ripping all your strappings and tape off your ankles. That all starts to come away when you take your socks off. So it was a nightmare.
The kit man found himself in a spot.
Do you know, little Charlie O'Leary, our kit man, bless him. He's still adamant that it wasn't his fault. But unfortunately, Big Jack, can you imagine, Jeff, what he was going on about in the tunnel? Yeah. Jack Charlton was going absolutely crazy. But no, wonderful player, Franco Baresi. He would have been probably the best central defender for a decade. And he might well get into listen, this is a big statement because there's so many brilliant players. He might well get into an all-time World 11. He really might.
Yeah.
Because he was that influential,
brilliant
that
footballer.
good.
Brilliant footballer. I just think he's sitting there yesterday, glorious day down in Hampshire yesterday, and I couldn't sit on the sun for too long. I thought to myself, wouldn't it be lovely to watch a bit of test match cricket at the moment? And I read an article, I think it was in the Telegraph yesterday, what a missed opportunity this is for cricket. Because here we are at a time when there is no major sport going on. You know, the Commonwealth Games are very low key this year. We'll discuss that more very shortly. Very low key, but the World Cup is over. Premier League season has still got weeks to go. Why is there no test match cricket?
And why is there none?
At the moment? Well, I assume it's got something to do with the 100 and the demands of the nonsense that is the 100, you know. Which
you're not a fan?
No, well, it hasn't taken off. Crowds have dwindled. It's something that nobody can relate to at all, I don't think, because, you know, you've got teams representing areas rather than sort of specific teams. But for whatever reason, and I think, anyway, people have had enough of short-form games. You know, see, the 2020, fine, it's established, and we don't need a variation. Anyway, for whatever reason, it doesn't seem to have taken off, and I'm assuming that's the reason. Pakistan are here, but the first test against Pakistan falls during the first weekend of the Premier League season. So what a missed opportunity.
Yeah.
Glorious weather, full houses, could have been playing test matches.
We've had a month, haven't we, effectively, since the end of the World Cup till the Premier League starts. If you want to kind of dominate and take centre stage, it would have, I get it, it would have made sense to
just cricket
maybe use that.
Shooting themselves in the foot.
Yeah.
You know? And I know we've had, you know, England have had a rotten time lately. So, I mean, maybe they'll be relieved that we've had a few weeks break. But as far as spectators are concerned, I think it would have been fantastic to have test cricket in perfect conditions. Paul says Infantino won't go anywhere. By expanding competitions and pots of money for smaller nations, he has bought votes, similar to politics. Only
it's a good point, that. It's a good point. Yeah, it's a fair point.
Only UEFA will force it, and I can't see it. Paul, thank you very much indeed for that. Jill, I got your text. Thank you. I can't read it out, but thank you very much indeed for your text. A big show this morning. We'll be joined by the Brighton legend, Solly March. What a player.
Good player.
Good player. The former chairman of the FA, David Bernstein, Commonwealth Games, a silver medalist, and should have won, really, to be absolutely truthful, Demeji Shitu, and former West Ham goal machine, Tony Cottee. Kai Havertz feels confident about next season. We'll ask whether He's saying that with very good reason next.
Phoned up and said you got 10 players better than John Stones.
No, but
I said all time. I didn't say Prem, but let's stick to Prem, all right? Let's do this.
Go on.
Virgil van Dijk, John Terry, Rio Ferdinand, Nemanja Vidic, Vincent Kompany.
Yeah.
That's 5.
That's 5.
All right.
Yeah.
Are we going Tony Adams?
Ooh, yeah.
No.
No, you're not going to say...
No, but go on.
Go on. I
Sol
would.
Campbell.
I'd do Sol Campbell, defo.
And I'm a Tottenham
Sol
fan. so
Campbell,
Sol
come
Campbell
on.
out.
Come on, Jamie.
Keep going.
I'm going Sol Campbell.
Yeah.
Oh. Gary Pallister.
Carvalho.
Mate, come on.
Carvalho.
Don't help him. Why are you helping him?
I'm just
Carvalho's not better than John Stones.
Carvalho.
Gary
Ricardo
Pallister.
Carvalho.
Jamie,
Give
hear me
me
out.
a break, man.
On his day, prime to prime, one game for a final, Ledley King.
Yeah, Ledley King. What, you telling me Ledley King? Oh, come on, Jamie.
Listen, Jamie, not for career, but for one game in his prime.
I watched
Better
John
player.
Stones playing the Champions League final.
I know
for
he was
City.
unbelievable.
He was unbelievable. So let's.
I hear it, but
like,
you know
come
what
on.
I think, yeah? I heard
You can't be
Rory
putting
and
Ledley
Addy
King
earlier.
above John Stones. He's
Phil
won
Jag-
6 Premier League titles.
Phil Jagielka, mate. Phil Jagielka.
Holy shut up, mate. Come on.
I mean, mate, Jamie,
Jolien Lescott.
I would go as far as to say if Jan Vertonghen and Alderweireld played in that City team, they might have won the same honours.
Gary
I'm not
Cahill.
saying as good. They would have won
Shut
the
up.
same honours.
He's on the he's on Gary Cahill level.
You're making a lot of noise, Cole.
I left my heart in San Francisco.
Oh, brilliant song, brilliant voice as well. This is talkSPORT Breakfast. I'm Jeff Stelling Andy Townsend is with me, and that, of course, was Tony Bennett. I left my heart in San Francisco. You know, he was born 100 years ago today. Lived till he was 96.
Wonderful. What an amazing voice. I mean, listen, that song, Jeff, obviously was one that probably he was most famous for. He made so much. I was just talking to Ed before the show about some of the songs that he'd written and some of the songs that he'd made brilliant in his own way. The Good Life was such a great song for me. I loved that. Mm-hmm. I really did. I loved that song. But this was, whenever it comes on, you can't help but sing a bit of it. You can't.
No, you
have
can't.
to, can you? You've got to have a little sing to it. Even Katie next to us, Jeff, was thinking about just having a little sing there, weren't you, Katie?
I was, yeah.
It's a lovely
Break
song.
out into, I thought I'd save the listeners that this morning.
Tony Bennett's one of those handful of people where you feel it's so effortless.
Yes.
Stands up in front of a mic.
Correct.
And this beautiful satin smooth voice comes out. And
Very true.
And that, for me, that was the pinnacle of Tony Bennett. I left my heart in San Francisco. Just a couple of quick texts. Big Kev says it's all about money. We're talking cricket. He said the cricket authorities think they can make more money by staging the 100 competition in August during the school holidays than playing test matches. Thanks, Kev. They should take a look at the crowds. And Helen from Solihull, who's a proud Villa fan, Andy, says, just on my way to the airport to go on holiday with my best mate, Becky, and I'm looking forward to lying on my sun lounger and listening to talkSPORT all day long. So excited. Alan Brazil's back on Wednesday. I love everyone at talkSPORT. Have a great show, Jeff and Andy. Helen, have a great holiday.
Yes, have a lovely time.
It sounds like you're going to have a fantastic time. Right, time to look at the back page of the Costa Express.
The Costa Coffee Break on talkSPORT, sponsored by Costa Express. Get a regular Costa Express iced coffee as part of your Tesco meal deal at participating Tesco stores. Terms and conditions apply.
And as you may have already guessed, Katie Shanahan is back with us. Hi, Katie.
Hello, guys. Lovely to be back. So we will start with The Sun. These pictures of Kai Havertz, who's saying, let's have it, because Kai Havertz has declared that Arsenal want to win it all and has warned their rivals they will only get better. Similar story on the back page of the Daily Mail. Havertz telling Arsenal, our rivals are all getting better, so we need to evolve if we want to defend the Premier League title. And same as the Daily Express, Havertz fires title warning. So how can Arsenal evolve if they want to get more trophies?
Well, the obvious way. The obvious way, Katie, is that they invest in the team, and that the squad at Arsenal has been a significant squad, a really powerful one for some time. If you are looking to improve Arsenal, then you've got to spend big and you've got to go for the best, as all the Vinny Jr. talk over the last couple of weeks would testify. So I think for Arsenal, there's no reason why they can't go and do what they did again. There's no reason why. It's not going to be easy, as he mentions. Everybody else is spending big and looking to improve, but I think they are the team to catch, the team to beat. And if they were to add one or two, even one absolute prime-time, big-time signing, then I still think they're going to take some catching. I do. I know they've got a few problems. Saliba is obviously going to be out for a bit with his injury from the World Cup.
And Declan Rice.
Declan Rice, yeah. So but everybody has those problems at some point, and I still think they'll be the team to catch, definitely.
If Arsenal do sign Bruno Guimaraes, do you think he would be a regular starter?
Yeah, absolutely, 100%.
Even when Declan Rice comes back?
Who in place of?
Yeah.
Well, someone like Odegaard is inevitably the one who... Look, he had a good World Cup, by the way. Really, and he's a player I like a lot. But I think Bruno would be a certainty at the start.
Good player.
And I think he'd be... a terrific signing for them. And I'm with you, Andy. It's foolhardy to say we're going to win everything, isn't it? At this stage of the season, it's foolhardy in March to say you're going to win everything this season. But the quote there saying, everybody else is getting stronger. Where have you seen that at, Kai? Because for me, the challengers are not getting stronger. Manchester City with a new manager, big question marks. Liverpool, big question marks over them, even though I love Antonio Iraola. Manchester United not spent, have they? Not spent. I mean, that may change.
Yeah. I would think it will, but you're right.
So at the moment, Arsenal, for me, clear favourites in terms of the Premier League, but it's a question of what they can do in Europe as well, isn't it?
Well, let's talk about Manchester United, because in The Sun also, the headline, Gab the Bull by the Horns. Lots of hype around JJ Gabriel, 15-year-old wonder kid, won the Premier League Under-18 Player of the Season and received a massive roar for their pre-season friendly when he came on in Stockholm. I mean, he's the youngest ever Manchester United player to represent the first team. It was Angel Gomez came on. He was 16 years old back in the day. But Andy, were there any 15-year-olds playing in your day?
Well, of course, there's always, Katie, been young lads that used to see training perhaps with the youth teams, and every now and again, one gets sent over to join in. Someone limps out of a training session, and all of a sudden they go and they whistle someone over from the far side, and a kid comes running over. That happened at Southampton with me, and that young lad was Matt Letizia.
Oh wow!
Who come trotting over. And, and sort of stood out on the wing and didn't run around that much. But every time he had the ball, he did something brilliant with it, And you instantly can tell with those young guys, you can instantly tell whether they can handle even just being around the boys, the senior first team players.
The physicality? The
physicality, joining in the training. There are some that instantly you just go, yeah, this boy, he can do it. He can play. And clearly that young man is one of them. What I would say is there's a lot... Katie, there's a lot of these kids at this age that show tremendous promise, and for whatever reason, it doesn't quite materialise into them becoming regulars in the first team. And I think, there are a lot of brilliant young footballers that get lost to the game between the ages of 15 and 18.
Like Chelsea. Yeah. Like, how often have we seen that happen at Chelsea?
We've seen it happen a lot, and for various reasons, for growing up reasons, for they start getting into enjoying a night out with their friends, girlfriends, etc., whatever. But they just lose their focus a little bit, and it's difficult to keep them absolutely honed in and tuned in all that way from 15 until this young man maybe trots out at Old Trafford in a first team game. But I have heard from some people that work at Manchester United, who I know, some of my old teammates actually work there. They have told me that this kid is the real deal, Jeff. He's very, very good.
Yeah, but I think any United fans who think he's going to play a major part this season...
Oh, no.
He won't.
No.
He might make a few little bit parts.
League Cup games and stuff like that.
Yeah, which is the way it should be, really,
Correct.
Isn't it? You can't throw somebody in too soon.
Yeah.
And then just finally from me, this story on the back page of the Times, Xabi Alonso, why I took the Chelsea job, actually across a number of the back pages, also on the Daily Mail. The new manager saying the team aren't as bad as they looked last season. And he's also speaking about the scars of Real Madrid failure will help him in West London. So this is speaking after a pre-season tour in Australia, speaking in Sydney. He's kind of acknowledged Chelsea struggled. They finished 10th in the Premier League last season, didn't they? And he said the reason he took the job, it was just good timing for him. The offer didn't come in from Liverpool, and he feels as though he's learnt a lot from Real Madrid. What do you think we can expect from Xabi Alonso?
I think you can expect good things, and for him, the hardest thing for Xabi Alonso it won't be the squad that he's got. He's got a good squad of players. He's got some, and they've the Morgan Rogers stuff, and I think the Danny Welbeck and Jordan Henderson to a lesser degree, but I think they're still sensible signings. I think Morgan Rogers is going to be a real top player. He's only getting better. Hardest thing for Xabi Alonso is keeping everybody calm and just keeping everything on an even keel at Chelsea. They're in such a rush to do everything in the club. You feel that they're kind of always trying to play catch up and get back to where they once were. Well, it's not going to happen overnight. They need to just calm down, let the guy get on with his job. He's got good players. Let him get this squad playing with a bit of rhythm and a bit of continuity before they start getting rid of 10 and bringing another 10 through the door. Let him get on with it that way, and then we'll see what he can do. But I'm sure he'll do well. Listen, what he did in Germany was no mean feat.
No, it was brilliant.
It was brilliant. It was very, very good what he did there, and that's not easy to do. So obviously the Madrid stuff hurt him a bit, but I think he can bounce back from that no problem. I really do.
I think his biggest issue, briefly, is keeping everybody happy, because the number of players they've got no European football.
No.
When you just looked at midfield, because they signed Valentin Barco yesterday, and they've already got Enzo Fernandez and Caicedo, Henderson, Lavia, Cole Palmer, Morgan Rogers, Reece James can play in there as well. That's just midfield. If you look further forward, it's even more congested. So I think his biggest problem is going to be to keep everybody happy unless there are some outgoings
And that-
between now and the
and-
start.
Like Enzo Fernandez.
Yeah, do I like him?
No, Enzo Fernandez. Obviously, there's been talk of Real Madrid and all.
There has. Look, I never quite saw. I've seen it. Enzo Fernandez as a £100 million footballer, but that's not his fault. That's what happened. He showed in the World Cup. He scored some big goals, and he did last season for Chelsea. He scored some goals for. I think he
Got a red card in the final, though, didn't
15. Yeah, crazy tackle, stupid tackle that was. But look, they've got some talented players, Chelsea. Without that European football, without that fixture congestion, they might. If they get off to a good start, yeah, they could surprise a few.
Katie, thanks very much indeed.
Thanks, Katie.
That was thanks to Costa Express. Coming up, find out why Preston had to cancel a friendly against Barcelona.
The Costa Coffee Break on talkSPORT, sponsored by Costa Express. Get a regular Costa Express iced coffee as part of your Tesco meal deal at participating Tesco stores. Terms and conditions apply.
Staying with Liverpool, there are some reports that they have now made a formal offer worth £100 million for Bradley Barcola. I reported a couple of days ago that Barcola wanted to make the move to Anfield, but you've not been too inspired by this possibility.
No, I'm with Jamie Carragher in the camp that I saw him the other day talking about it. We have like 3-4 left wingers already, players who can play there. We need to fill the void by Salah. Frimpong was meant to help with that, but we know he's got medical injury issues last year and not quite what we like to see out wide right when he did play. We need a right winger. It's concerning. And we're going out and we're getting another pacey player who plays on the left majority of the time. So unless Rio's going to get put on the right, square pegs, round holes, all that kind of thing. I don't know. I don't love it because of the money. If he was 60, 70 million, and I get it, he's not.
Yeah.
You think, okay, it's a no-brainer. Then you maybe sell Gakpo and you clear up some space on the left. And you still go get a right winger. But Liverpool right now are playing with one centre-back and the other centre-back on one leg. So, they've got issues. McAllister's going to come back. He was a shadow of himself last year. They need some help in central midfield. Potentially need a right back because really we haven't got a right back. Frimpong's obviously going to play.
Joe Gomez is now going to miss the start of the season.
Yeah, that's Joe Gomez. God bless him. He could have been a world-class defender, but obviously injuries have stopped that. So Liverpool have got a lot of holes to fill. So, and you got to start a right wing to fill Mo Salah's, departure. So it does concern me that we're going down this rabbit hole where we might end up paying, I don't know, like the Weirts money. You overpay, and then does the player adapt to the Premier League, and is it another bad signing? And it's frustrating for me.
Time for another one of those what-if sliding doors moments from the world of football. In 2010, Sam Allardyce's Blackburn Rovers were plodding along in the Premier League, never really in danger of relegation, but not sharp enough in front of goal to challenge for a European place. The club's then head of recruitment, Martin Glover, was alerted to a Polish striker at Lech Poznan, who'd scored 21 goals in 34 games. His name, Robert Lewandowski. Glover and Allardyce flew to Poland to watch the 21-year-old, and they liked what they saw. Conversations were had, and all that remained was for Lewandowski to fly to England to have a look around and talk Turkey. However, a once-in-a-blue-moon geological incident had other ideas. After 187 years of dormancy, the Eyjafjallajökull volcano in Iceland erupted, causing flights across Europe to be grounded for nigh on a month. That meant that Lewandowski never made it to Ewood Park, and Borussia Dortmund beat Blackburn to his signature. He'd go on to win 10 Bundesligas and 1 La Liga at various clubs. Just imagine that sort of impact on Blackburn's history, Sam Allardyce's CV, and the shape of English football itself.
Good morning to you. This is talkSPORT Breakfast with me, Jeff Stelling Andy Townsend and Arnold Clark. It's the perfect time to upgrade your car. Get 2 years free servicing when you buy a used car in the upgrade event. Check it out online. Just either side of the story here about Test cricket compared to the 100. Ryan says, if you don't like the 100, shut up. It's not aimed at the boomers of this world. It's aimed at kids. Get over yourselves.
Hold on.
Thanks,
Ryan.
Ryan.
Don't drag me into this.
Yeah.
That was Jeff. I ain't got a
It
clue
was me.
what's going on.
I put my hand up. It was me. James, on the other hand, says, morning, lads. I was at the Oval yesterday for London against Manchester. The double header attendance was a little over 18,000, predominantly families. So that's about 2/3 full. I understand it. It brings youngsters into the game. The 100 just isn't for me. I'm a Test cricket man through and through, which probably makes me a dinosaur these days. But the ECB have to find some balance, Jeff. No Test cricket in August is criminal. Thank you for that, James. There will be Test cricket in August, just a little later in August. Now, Championship side Preston North End suffered a spate of injuries during pre-season, leaving them without enough fit first-team players to put out a starting 11, which is not what you want when your opposition are due to be Barcelona. So Preston proposed filling their squad for their friendly against Barca at the weekend with under 21 players, but Barca were having absolutely none of that. For more on this, let's bring in the Lancashire Post reporter, Ross Chapman. Morning, Ross.
Morning, guys. Thank you for having me.
Oh, look, it's a pleasure, mate. Well, look, this is a bit of a disaster all round, isn't it? Certainly as far as Preston are concerned, you know, you've got prestige friendly and you can't field a team. How did that happen?
I know, it doesn't look good, does it? Obviously, on Saturday, Preston played Stockport in another pre-season friendly and fielded a number of outfield players. They have in total at the moment 14 outfield players, potentially 13. There was an injury to one of Preston's left wing backs on Saturday, and we'll have to wait and see how severe that injury is. But yeah, there's a lot of concern around at the moment. Of course, like you say, it's Barcelona. The thing is, it was behind closed doors friendly. It doesn't really affect fans or the club's revenue in that sense, but it's not a good look, is it? And I think the main question that fans are asking is, how is this going to be resolved a week out until the season begins? We've got Huddersfield Town in the Carabao Cup on Saturday, and if you've not got enough fit players for that one or for any future games, then we'll be in a bit of concern. But the transfers is something that the fans really want to see happen and sped up in the next few weeks. They really want to see players come in through the door. And I think it'd be pretty fair to say that if there was 20 outfield players rather than the 13 or 14 that North End have available at the moment, then this game would be getting played today.
Sure. Ross, why did Barca? I mean, you think Barca are over here. You think they'd want to play that game. So what was their reasons for saying, no way, we don't want to play the under-21s? Why would they not have wanted to do that?
I suppose maybe they feel that it's not a worthwhile challenge. Of course, Preston North End have an academy that is at a fairly good level. There's been a number of young players who have played this pre-season and have done well and have impressed and had experience in non-league, but maybe Barcelona think that there may be more worthwhile challenges for them when they go back to Spain or when they play other teams. Obviously, it's disappointing for them, isn't it? They've come to England expecting to play 2 pre-season games against Championship opposition, and they only managed to play 1, and that was on Friday against Birmingham, and that didn't go the way that they wanted to. So they're probably disappointed that they've been given a youth side to play against, and probably they backed up because of that.
Well, never mind Barcelona. If you're a Preston North End fan, you must be alarmed at the fact you've got 13 or 14 senior
available
players a week before the start of the season, and one of those won't be there much longer, will he? Ross, Ben Whiteman, who's reportedly told Paul Heckingbottom that he's played his last game for the club, wants to sort of force through a move to Wrexham, which also isn't a good look.
No, it certainly isn't, and it's a massive shock because 10 days ago he was talking to club media, he was talking to local radio about Preston North End's plans for the season. He was talking about his responsibilities as club captain, which he's been for the last couple of years. And he was also talking in quite a lot of detail about how he managed to convince Alfie Devine, the club's record signing, to rejoin the club after a successful loan spell from Tottenham. So it is a really big surprise. We know that Wrexham are one of the highest spenders in the Championship. They like to recruit from the second tier as well. So the initial interest wasn't a shock. Fulham and Watford have also been linked with Whiteman in the past. But his behaviour, as Paul Heckingbottom sees it, is a big surprise, because he's always carried himself with a lot of professionalism, regardless of what fans may think of him on the pitch. He's always been a fairly professional player.
Brilliant. Look, it's going to be a big blow, but Hecky says he's crossed a line. So
Yeah.
I think that's it as far as Ben Whiteman is concerned. Ross, thank you very much indeed.
Thanks,
mate.
Ross. Thanks very much.
Cheers, guys. Thank you.
Do you know, Jeff, it's funny. I'm sure the Barca players, right? They will have obviously had it in their mind that they're going to play this game against Preston, and then when all of a sudden you're away on a tour in pre-season, you just want to play some games.
Yeah.
Not ideal against that. You know, you get there and they say, right, half the team are under 21s or 8 of the team are under 21 players. Well, so what? It's just about getting it's fitness. That's all it is.
This stage of the season, of course.
Just getting some minutes under your belt and get going and making sure your fitness level's there by sort of declining the opportunity to play. Well, I'm a little surprised at that. I've got to be honest.
Yeah, me too. In fairness, but if I'm a Preston fan, I'm very concerned.
Yeah.
About the lack of players that By the way, don't forget talkSPORT, the only place to exclusive commentary of the opening games in the Championship this season, the EFL, exclusively on talkSPORT. Just briefly, Ross mentioned the Carabao Cup game this week. Got a text from George in Chesterfield, says, morning chaps, happy League Cup week. Football's officially back with us in the lower leagues. What do you think about England following Scotland's lead in making the opening round of the League Cup a group stage tournament hosted in pre-season, as they do in Scotland? Personally, I prefer it to the boring pre-season friendlies would mean the early rounds of the tournament might get more excitement and crowds. He said, I do like the fact, though, they put round one on a weekend this year. This is next weekend.
All right.
Hopefully it means teams play stronger sides compared to previous years where Tuesday nights were often treated as an irritation by managers. George, I agree with that. I'm not sure about having that league basis early. I think enough games, but
that sometimes the problem with that, was it George? Sometimes the problem with that, George, you've only got to see those Champions League qualifiers sometimes that are played in the middle of July or whatever. Sometime, and of course, managers and clubs, they prioritise their league campaigns. Therefore, they don't always do themselves justice in some of those qualifying matches that are in the middle of July, end of July. So that's the only problem with that. The League Cup, obviously, lots of teams want to do well in it, but to play those, in the middle of the off season, really, you might not get the best teams being put out either.
Here's one word answer, Andy. Cole says, can you mention the Leeds game against Liverpool last night? Leeds were 2-0 down, won by 4 goals to 2 in the end. Where do you think Leeds will finish this season?
16th.
Whoa. Okay.
Yeah. What do you...
I think 10th.
10th, do you really?
Yeah, I think they'll have a good season. I think they'll have a good season. I love the fact they signed Harry Wilson.
Yeah, good player. Good player, Harry. Best football I'd seen him play last year at Fulham. Really good.
Right, still to come on breakfast.
Breakfast preview on talkSPORT with Travis Perkins. Spend £100 or more with a Travis Perkins trade account and you could win a brand new Ford Ranger. T's and C's apply.
Coming up, we'll be taking a look into Andy's favourite Commonwealth Games boxer.
So you've got Team Wales. You've got Owen Harris-Allen. He's fantastic boxing at lightweight. You've got Team England. I'm going to give you 2. All right, I'm going to give you Ruby White. You guys heard of Ruby White yet?
No, haven't heard of him.
You good? It's a woman. You are going to hear of her. She's going to be an absolute. She's going to be an absolute star. She's 50.
Let me tell you now, that clip will never do the rounds. That'll be the last time you hear that clip.
Brilliant.
Very unfortunate. Unlucky, weren't I there, Jeff?
Yeah, you were, mate.
Very
50-50 chance, wasn't it? Yeah. We'll catch up with our reporter, Michael Wade, to find out how she got on next. Plus, all the latest on Gianni Infantino's position as FIFA president. That's next here on talkSPORT Breakfast.
Breakfast preview on talkSPORT with Travis Perkins. Spend £100 or more at any Travis Perkins Hire or Benchmarks branch as a trade account holder and you could win a brand new Ford Ranger. T's and C's apply.
Now, the Asian Football Confederation in the last couple of hours have come out and condemned Gianni Infantino's proposals to sell off
very late condemnations, aren't they? They're all panicking.
Competitions. Well, they are. Obviously, UEFA have come out strongest by suggesting they would boycott all FIFA competitions, including the Men's and Women's World Cup, the Club World Cup. There's actually an under-20 Women's World Cup that's due to start in September, so we may find out if they'll go through with that threat very soon. UEFA's 55 member associations held an emergency meeting earlier this week, and as I say, they voted a boycott if FIFA proceeds with plans to sell stakes in its competitions to private investors. There was a statement released by FIFA, I think it was 4 o'clock this morning UK time, so we were all napping. They said nobody is selling football, but they did vow to continue with the controversial proposal to sell stakes in its competition to private investors. FIFA, in their statement, claimed the consultation process had been, quote, disrupted by incorrect media reports.
My answer to this is that everyone always screams about FIFA's a bit of a dictatorship, but it's actually a democracy whereby you still have to have all the nations vote for this through, Alex, right?
Yes.
So Infantino can't just force it through. It was never going to happen that way, and I think it's dead in the water now.
Well, I was just about to come on to that. So in order for this proposal to be passed, FIFA's 211 members would need to vote. Therefore, Infantino would need 106 votes in favour.
Yep.
UEFA and CONCACAF members combined make up 96 of those votes. The AFC makes up 47. So
that's how democracy works.
It's dead, basically.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. It is dead.
Morning, it's very nearly 6:50. In fact, it's exactly 6:50. This is talkSPORT Breakfast with me, Jeff Stelling and Andy Townsend. Headlines this morning: Liverpool threw away a 2-0 lead to Leeds in Chicago. They eventually lost 4-2. Arsenal boss Mikel Arteta says the club will not sit still with ambitious transfer plans this summer. Bruno Guimaraes expected to join shortly. And the clicky Ponting saga rumbles on. With Saltburn Cricket Club making headlines all around the world. After footage emerged of one of their players clicking his fingers to con an umpire into thinking the batsman had hit the ball. Here's what former England bowler Darren Gough makes of it all.
It's caused so much controversy, and there's been a lot of pile-on, by the way, which I don't think's right either. But there's definitely got to be some sanctions.
You don't think the pile-on is right?
To a certain extent, but there's got to be an investigation, and I think the pile-ons happen probably once you know what it's like now with social media. Once the pile-on goes, I mean,
don't do the crime.
Exactly, but you've got to remember though. But this lad is what I don't like about it all. It's not the pile-on. What I don't like is, but it's grassroots cricket, second 11. You've got people work all week, and they look forward to getting out there on the sports field, whether it's football, whether it's cricket, whether it's rugby, whether it's golf, and you're going out there, and the last thing you want is to go out there as a batter right? Your golden chance, you've waited all week for it. You get your one chance all week, and you go out there and you're nowhere near it. And someone at Slip is clicking to cheat you out.
Yeah, I feel sorry for him. You know, look, it's not within the spirit of the game, but the reaction for a second 11 game, you know, and a guy who goes along to spend his weekends playing cricket, I think it's been massively over the top.
Well, listen, it's as you say, it's gone far and wide. This story, it really has. I actually said last week with Andy Goldstein, I think in any amateur sport, and at this level, Jeff, we can laugh about it. Obviously, when it gets to the professional stuff, then it's out of order. But at this, I can imagine this was devised in the back of a car on the way to the.
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean? On the way to the game.
And he's been hung, drawn, and quartered.
And he's been absolutely pilloried for it. He really has. But it's fascinating, really, how people have become that kind of offended by it. And surely there are other teams that have been doing this. There must have been. Other teams out there that have also been trying to get away with this sort of stuff as well.
It is a media-created controversy, and we're part of the media, so I completely accept we played a part in that as well. But I shouldn't have done it.
Yeah.
Probably thought it was a bit of fun. And I feel a bit of sympathy with the pile-on that's happened. Look, let's take a look back at the Commonwealth Games with BYD.
Commonwealth Games update on talkSPORT with the BYD Atto 2 DMI, the intelligent compact SUV with advanced plug-in hybrid technology.
11 days in Glasgow, Commonwealth Games over. Joining us to round it all up, talkSPORT's athletics correspondent Michael Weedock. Morning, Michael.
Morning, guys. Morning, Andy. Morning, Jeff.
Morning, Michael.
I've got a couple of contenders for the star of the games. Josh Kerr, obviously.
Yep.
World record holder, blew away a decent field in the mile, and obviously Emma Finucane, 4 gold medals at the Velodrome. Who was your star, would you say, Michael?
Well, I think you're absolutely right with those two. I can't really argue with either of those. I think Emma Finucane brought the curtain down on the games with that 4th gold medal at the Velodrome. No one's ever done that one in one track cycling program at the game, so that's absolutely fantastic. But having said all that, having been there for the world record in London with Josh Kerr and having been there to see him win the Miracle Mile here in Glasgow at the Commonwealth Games, I think the fact that he kind of stated at the start of the year that these are the 2 things I want to do this season. These are the 2 things I want to achieve. I want to break the world record. I want to win that gold at Scotstoun, where I trained as a teenager. And the fact that he came out and did it in such style, I think definitely he would be, for me, the highlight of the games. The moment of the games, Josh Kerr winning that. And so, you know, I think all the build-up to these games and the fact that Josh Kerr said he was going to come here when lots of other big names didn't, and the fact that Josh Kerr committed to the Commonwealth Games, put it above the European Championships, which begin in Birmingham next week, I think that, for me, is the moment of Glasgow 2026.
Sure. Michael, what about the... It's kind of been a bit low-key, the games, because it's been a very hectic summer of sport, it has. And not being on free-to-air, not being on free-to-air TV, is that something that you think the Commonwealth Games should have, that it desperately needs?
Yeah, lots of people have been talking about that. What I would say about that is it's quite a UK-centric viewpoint, the fact that it's not been on free-to-air. So in Australia, for example, where the games have been broadcast on Channel 7, they've been getting 11 million people watching the Commonwealth Games every night. People are watching these games in China. There's a TV deal in the US. It's getting big audiences in Canada. It's got new broadcast partners like talkSPORT broadcasting the games for the very first time. So I do think we sometimes just have to look at the fact there's 74 nations and territories in the Commonwealth. And the fact that it hasn't been on free-to-air television here in the UK doesn't mean that there hasn't been billions of people tuning in and watching it in India, for example, in Nigeria, in Africa. And I think the research and the statistics that the organisers are saying to us is that people are consuming the games differently. It's all about digital and social media, and that they feel that they have come up against their success measures on social media, on digital, and with the TV and the broadcast deals they've had around the world, and that they feel it's been successful against their measures.
Look, Michael, apart from the stories we mentioned, there are a lot of feel-good stories during the 10 days or whatever in Glasgow. There's no question about that. But only 10 sports. A lot of big names missing, Keely Hodgkinson, Katrina Johnson-Thompson amongst them. A women's boxer winning a medal despite having one fight and losing all 3 rounds in it. The Commonwealth Games is fighting for its life, isn't it? Is it not, something that maybe should be laid to rest?
Well, they've described these games, Jeff, as the bridge to the future. As you know, they only had 18 months to pull them together. And the fact that these games actually happened with Glasgow stepping in at such short notice is amazing in itself. I think the games of India, where we go next, 2030, they will be bigger again. They will be stepping back up to about 15, 16 sports. So you're going to have the likes of hockey, I would imagine, because that's obviously a huge sport in India. I think cricket will come back into the programme as well. The boxing one's interesting. You mentioned that. It's really interesting because boxing at the Olympics, everyone says, is really difficult to get into because you have to qualify. So only the very best boxers get to the Olympics. Here at the Commonwealth Games, you just get selected. So you can, with the right draw and a bit of a fair wind, as you say there, get a medal without actually having to do very much. There are some issues. There are some concerns about the future of the Commonwealth Games, but the organisers, Commonwealth Sport, are pretty confident moving forward that the Games will still have their place in the calendar. What that place is, what the pathway is for some of the top athletes. I mean, all the big Australians turned up here, and that's why Australia have got 171 medals compared to England. I think for the home nations, for the likes of England, Scotland, Wales, Northern Ireland, yes, there are some questions to be had. There are some conversations to be had about where exactly these games fit in to the very packed sporting calendar.
Michael, look, anybody who's taking part in it, by the way, they'll want to see the Commonwealth Games continue for a long, long time. So thank you very much indeed,
Thanks,
mate.
Michael.
Cheers, guys.
Just briefly, the boxer I mentioned.
Yes.
Okay, so she's in one of the women's events. There were only 5 entries into it. So one of them got a buy into the semi-finals, which was her. She lost her semi-final, having lost all 3 rounds comprehensively, I think, as well, and went home with a bronze medal.
Amazing. Yeah.
But good for her. She came from a very small nation, indeed, so it'll still be a big occasion for her. That was all thanks to BYD.
Commonwealth Games update on talkSPORT with the BYD Atto 2 DMI, the intelligent compact SUV with advanced plug-in hybrid technology.
You're listening to talkSPORT Breakfast. It is 6:59. Let's bring in Terry Gibson, Spanish football expert. Terry, always good to speak to you. Lots of news stories over in Spain at the moment. Let's start with that Marcus Rashford farewell post to Barcelona. Looks like his hopes of return to the Camp Nou are now very much over.
Yes, it does, and I think it was a blow to him when Anthony Gordon. It must have been kind of awkward when the England team met up for the World Cup when Anthony Gordon had already completed his move to Barcelona. Marcus Rashford's future was hanging in the air. And then they signed Karim Adeyemi. So it's it's not going to happen now for Marcus Rashford. I have to be honest, I'm really surprised. I thought it was a good value in terms of the transfer fee, and I thought his form last season was as good as you would expect. And he couldn't have done any more. He scored some important goals. He actually effectively got the goal that won them the league title. He was popular with his teammates and popular with the fans. So I'm surprised. Even when Anthony Gordon signed, I still thought there was a possibility that Rashford would still go, but the signing of Adeyemi has put a stop to that.
Is it just wages? Because obviously Anthony Gordon would command a much lower weekly salary than Rashford.
But he was £80 million. Rashford was 26. Yeah. So 26 million, slightly difference in their ages as well. People are forgetting they've got Rafinha that plays there as well. So the problem positions that everyone thought they had, and they still have, are centre forward, Lewandowski leaving the club, and they should have bought a better centre back than what they currently have.
Football fans all have stadiums we love, but do any of us have a pitch that we love? It might sound like an odd question, but pitches can be different sizes with big consequences. Why is that? And what are the actual rules? Back when association football started, pitches could be up to 100 metres wide and 200 metres long. That's longer than Ellen Road. Not the pitch, the stadium. Anyway, UEFA wanted a standard across Europe for international matches, which became 105 metres long and 68 metres wide. But some clubs had been rebels, not intentionally, but because of the stadiums. Take Highbury, for example. It was 5 metres shorter and a metre narrower, meaning away sides had a challenge to adjust. White Hart Lane was exactly the same. And actually, when Spurs temporarily moved to Wembley, they asked the FA to shorten the pitch. The FA, very offended by the sacrilegious suggestion, said no. Which, in fairness, could have actually benefited Tottenham, because when they moved into their shiny new stadium, the pitch was exactly the same size as Wembley's. Today, Forest Pitch at the City Ground is a big one. It's 2 metres wider than any other pitch in the Premier League. But the smallest of all, Craven Cottage, just 100 metres long and 65 wide. No excuse for not tracking your man. There are a couple of crazy outliers in Europe too. At Napoli's home ground, the Stadio Diego Armando Maradona, the pitch is a whopping 110 metres long. At least they don't play on a slope like Newcastle do. There's a 2-metre incline on the pitch at St James's Park, and don't get me started on the old pitch at Yeovil too. It used to be a slant of 2 metres corner to corner and across the halfway line. So UEFA have their standards. So do the FA, but they do give pitches in England some wiggle room. Pitches can be anywhere between 90 and 120 metres long and between 45 and 90 metres wide. I mean, the rules state you can't have a square pitch, but in theory you could have one that's 91 metres long and 90 wide. Imagine rocking up to play a Sunday League game and the pitch is basically a square. So there are rules and regulations on sizes, with a UEFA standard that roughly everyone follows. But as we all know, size doesn't matter, does it?
Good morning, this is talkSPORT. Breakfast with me, Jeff Stelling Andy Townsend. And Arnold Clark's deal drop. Get the new car feeling without the new car price. Discover some of their biggest savings and find out your next car today. Got a great show for you this morning. Paul Lambert will join us to look over an eventful opening weekend in the Scottish Premiership. Celtic play Dundee, of course, tonight. West Ham legend Tony Cottee will give us his take on what might happen at West Ham next after former Newcastle co-owner Amanda Staveley bought a 25% stake in the club. Plus, Amanda's made 300 appearances for Brighton, some player too. Solly March joins us to take a look ahead to his new chapter and maybe share his thoughts too on former teammate Danny Welbeck's move to Chelsea. Conrad's texted in and said, "Morning, Andy and Jeff. The Commonwealth Games was free to air on BBC Alba. Broadcast from the Shetland Islands. It was in Gaelic. So I turned the volume down and put the talkSPORT commentary on simultaneously." Thank you, Conrad. And that's the way to do it, obviously. Danny Welbeck to Chelsea, quick thoughts on that?
Danny Welbeck to Chelsea, I thought was a good bit of business, Jeff. I really did. I thought it was a good bit of business. I think he has got better the older he's got. I think he understands absolutely the role now that that he will have at Chelsea. And as I mentioned, sometimes you need people that can come into that dressing room when they walk, when they're first introduced, and get on with it and pick it up. There's no divine right for Danny to be brilliant every week just because he's an experienced Premier League player. But it does help when they can just walk into a dressing room and just get on with things rather than you're having to You're constantly monitoring them on the training ground when they're then going home and they don't know their way around London. They don't know where to live. Kids not sure where they're going to go to school yet. Any of that. They've just got a guy that knows the role inside out and is still playing at a good competitive level. So I think it's a very good signing for Chelsea. I do. Not to play every week, but if he ends up playing 25 games this season for Chelsea, I think he'll have done well and they'll be well pleased with that.
I think people, when they look at Danny Welbeck, look at his age, but what they maybe don't consider is the fact that he is still very much a top-level striker and could easily have gone to the World Cup, in Thomas Tuchel's squad after another terrific season.
Exactly
and I think another reason that he's been brought in inevitably is for character. Very much the same with Jordan Henderson.
Yes.
Good characters. Alonso wants good people in that dressing room.
He does.
And Danny fits the bill perfectly there, that's for sure.
Certainly does.
Now, Wales have become the first national governing body to withdraw its support for Gianni Infantino amid the scrapping of his controversial plans to sell off stakes in the World Cup. Writer and broadcaster Henry Winter says there is no way back for the FIFA president.
I still think there will be some out there who, even though there's a unanimous front when the confederations talk, I still think there'll be one or two who will back him. And I think that is a risk for world football, is to give him, it's until March, the re-election, to give him that time to re-establish his power base, to bring in a 64-team World Cup, which would be horrendous, but would win him votes, to dish out money from FIFA reserves, which he says he can still do in that statement yesterday. I still think that if we're going to get rid of him, and he absolutely needs to go, it has to be done now. Cannot give him time to repair his defences.
Well, obviously his leadership of FIFA has been publicly questioned by footballing's governing bodies in Europe, North and Central America and the Caribbean as well. But while Europe and the Americas have turned to Infantino, not everyone has. For instance, Africa's governing body, the Central African Federation, that's remained pretty silent so far. They have 54 votes. A lot of Asian nations as well are yet to play their hand. We're yet to find out really where they stand. A lot of those are smaller nations who know they will benefit big time
financially
under Infantino. I'm not convinced. We all know what should happen. Of course, we all know what should happen. But I'm not as convinced as everybody appears to be that it will be easy to get rid of Gianni Infantino.
No, because you're right. He does have support, and it'd be very interesting. I haven't seen too many of them stepping forward just yet, but if all of a sudden those numbers start significantly increasing, as Henry just said there, it will become a little bit more. It won't be quite so straightforward for those that want to get him out. Look, I do think it will rumble on this for a while. I don't think the guy's going to walk away without fight. And at the moment, that clear and credible candidate that would have to replace him, I'm not sure who that individual is, Jeff, either at the moment. So that person would have to start to make themselves known and step forward and start to talk about possibly running for that. When is it next year? It will be up. So we'll see. We'll see where all that goes. Where were you, by the way, or how are you on? What did you think of the 48 team World Cup? What did you think?
Hated it.
You didn't like it?
No, I thought there were a couple of good games and a couple of the lesser lights. Obviously,
the Cape Verde,
Curacao, they did okay, but the majority of them did not do okay. It meant there were,
too many,
not meaningless games.
No,
but because they're not meaningless to the nations who are taking part in them. Too many games that I didn't want to watch, especially when they were going out, obviously, in terms of the middle of the night in this country as well. So I didn't. The lack of jeopardy, Andy, as well.
Yes.
The fact that 32 of those 48 teams have gone through, that was, for me, a killer.
The one thing that I and I didn't like it when I played in the World Cup in '94 in America was obviously when you're on a continent like that there are different time zones, etc. Sometimes it's difficult to get right into the World Cup. I mean, back here, some of those big games. What time was the Mexico game? Was that 2 a.m?
Here, yes, it was. Yeah,
it's 2 a.m, wasn't it?
I came straight into work afterwards. So,
did you?
That was
but it was, that can sometimes, I think, detract from a World Cup sometimes when there's those time zones, and particularly now, if all of a sudden you started going into a 64-team World Cup and you're starting to play it across different continents even, there's been suggested, then that would be very difficult, I think, to really, really get into and kind of really feel consumed by the tournament in that respect. So I'm not sure about the 64. I think 48, Jeff, personally. I think 48... listen, I think opening the World Cup up to nations that otherwise wouldn't normally be involved, I kind of get the intention of that. 48's the limit for me. I think 64, the more I think about it, I think it will get lost. I think the tournament can get too big and it would just wouldn't have that intensity that you really need for a classic World Cup.
Yeah, no, I agree. 64 is impossible. If they continue with 48, then I simply feel they must find a different way.
Different format.
A different format.
Yeah, maybe.
You know, because some of those... The fans of some of those smaller nations, they were absolutely sensational.
Correct.
You know? And you wouldn't want to lose that colour from the World Cup, that is for sure. Now, last night, Liverpool threw away a 2-0 lead against Leeds. They conceded 4 times in the second half in just 25 minutes. Leeds winning 4-2. Brilliant result for Leeds. Despite the defeat, the Liverpool boss, Andoni Iraola, says there are positives to take from the game in Chicago.
I think we learn a lot of things. Probably it's obviously not the result you want, but I think probably the most useful friendly we've played in a positive way in the first half and in a negative way in the second half. No, I think we've learned a lot from today, and I think we can take good conclusions and solve some things. Yes.
Andy, can you read anything into pre-season games?
You know, not now. I know, particularly on the back of a World Cup when everyone's still, a lot of senior players at all the clubs are still enjoying some downtime. So it's difficult, to be honest with you. I've seen some of the teams in some of the matches that have been putting out, they're almost unrecognisable. Great for some of the young kids that are involved in and around the squad, but don't take too much. Jeff, over the years, I had so many pre-seasons where won every game, and then the first league game comes along, you get beat, and you have a bad. And then I've had other pre-seasons when everything's going wrong, players are getting injured, you're looking hopeless, and all of a sudden the season starts and you start off really well. So there's no rhyme or reason to it. I really wouldn't read too much into whatever you're witnessing at the minute.
And that Liverpool side, that would bear no resemblance to the side that will start the first Premier League game of the season. I'm surprised we haven't any Leeds fans on wanting to batter you by saying they're going to finish 16th,
well, listen, I welcome the Leeds fans to come on and tell me why that they feel they'll finish. You said you mentioned that you think they might be in and around the mid-table, 10th, which would be a great season for them. With what they have at the moment, I don't quite see that, but I'm welcome to be put right by the Leeds fans. Yeah, get them on.
Yeah, I mean, mentioned Harry Wilson. They brought in a defender as well, and you reminded me they're still chasing James Trafford, who would be a great signing.
Good signing. He certainly would be. Listen, whenever I've done so many games over the years, played there so many times, and commentated so many games at Ellen Road. It's a brilliant Premier League club. It really is. And anyone who goes there to watch a game, you know you're watching a proper game. You really do. But they're going to have to, I think, get a few more through the door first to convince me that they're going to be anywhere in the single figures in the Premier League, Jeff, definitely.
Okay. Up next, are the traditional Big Six going to re-establish themselves next season?
It's an amazing story, actually. It's almost a forgotten man. This is about Mykhailo Mudryk, who has been allowed to come back to football immediately for Chelsea. So You'll remember that this is a man who had a 4-year ban handed down to him for breaching anti-doping rules. He's not played since November 2024 after what was described as an adverse finding of meldonium, which is a banned substance in his system. He appealed against that sentence to the Court of Arbitration for Sport, who have today said that because he accepted breaking anti-doping rules, they have agreed that the time served already is enough of a punishment. So Mykhailo Mudryk is available to play for Chelsea with immediate effect.
Can he even still play football? Is he good enough? He's not played football for 3 years.
Nearly 2 years. Well, Chelsea have released quite a long statement today, obviously welcoming the decision. They've talked about what a difficult period of time it has been for Mykhailo Mudryk. And I think this is the important paragraph here in the statement. We welcome the acknowledgement that advances in the applicable scientific reporting standards for more reliable testing mean that had Misha's sample been analysed under today's technical requirements, it would not have been reported as a positive test and no anti-doping rule violation would have resulted. That is an important part of the context surrounding the agreed resolution and allows everyone involved to move forward.
Good morning to you, 7:20, Monday, August the 3rd. This is talkSPORT Breakfast with me, Jeff Stelling and Andy Townsend. We talked about maybe a new format for a 48-team World Cup. Lots of suggestions, including D, who says 12 groups of 4 and the top 2 go through. We then have 6 groups of 4. The winners and the best 2 runners-up go into the quarterfinals. The winners would only play 9 games. They play 8 at the moment. More jeopardy, less meaningless games. That's from D in Folkestone, who says, sign me up for the presidency. Thank you very much indeed, D. Right, time now for our next coffee break.
The Costa Coffee Break on talkSPORT, sponsored by Costa Express. Get a regular Costa Express iced coffee as part of your Tesco meal deal at participating Tesco stores. Terms and conditions apply.
Katie Shanahan is with us. Why are we playing this, Katie?
Okay, because it was UK's strongest man at the weekend. There were the quarterfinals in Milton Keynes. Got the finals in Glasgow this weekend.
How did Andy get on?
Andy, well, there's actually Andrew Flynn.
Ah.
Actually, the Flying Flynn. He's qualifying for the finals, and Rory O'Hagan and him are going head to head. So, what does it take to be the strongest man in Britain, Andy?
I have no idea, but I remember all those ones years ago, Jeff, didn't we? We remember Jeff Capes, and we remember those guys going in for those, and some of the stuff they used to do, lifting up the front end of an old car or something.
Well, that's the thing. How does this sound? So these were some of the events over the weekend. You've got the monster tyre flip, 400 kilogram tyre that they've got to flip across a 20-metre course. Then they've got the crucifix axe hold. So 2 athletes go head to head. They've got 15 kilos in each arm, and you've got to keep it on the timer, on the buzzer. The last man standing wins. You've got the deadlift. Now, lots of people were trying the deadlift in the gym.
Yes.
My PB is 115. These guys are doing 400 kilograms in weight. So they've got to do as many reps as possible. Then you've got, like I was just showing you there, the Atlas Stones.
The Atlas Stones. I remember we got to lift them up on those plinths.
Yes, the barrels.
Yeah.
Yes, so they gradually increase in size.
Correct.
You start off at 100 kilograms, and that's a stone one. And then the 5th stone is 160 kilograms. So 5 qualify for the final, and then you've got the bottom 3 that go into eliminator. Things like, pulling trucks and all of that. That's next weekend in the finals. Well, this weekend coming. But they have to hold a car in the eliminator.
I mean, look, it's seriously compelling, actually.
Yeah.
In an odd sort of way, but you do wonder what damage they do to themselves.
Yeah, in all the training. I mean, the car hold is 300 kilograms, and it's just last one standing. And it's mental toughness as well.
And did you witness, Katie, any of these got what they were eating, right? Because some of the things that the amount of protein that they eat to build their muscle up, is like, I don't know how many eggs they're having a day, but it's
a lot.
It's a lot. It's plenty. So, the amount they have to consume every day just to be able to get themselves in a position to take part.
Yeah. I mean, you must have done plenty of heavy lifting in the gym, Andy.
Well,
you're looking great.
Not too much. I enjoy going to the gym a few times a week now. Actually, in America, because I had good days between the games, I was going all the time, and I must admit I do enjoy it.
But not a 400 kilogram monster tyre. You're not flipping.
I'm not into. I'm
going to pretend not to be offended by the fact you asked Andy that question.
Correct.
He's closest to me, Jeff.
I couldn't possibly. I don't lift heavy weights. I certainly wouldn't want to do that.
Not a car hold, 300 kilograms.
Exactly. But as Jeff said, they are those events, and is that like a tour now, Katie? Is there loads of events all the time?
So they do so for example, this is UK Strongest Man, and then you've got World Strongest Man. You've also got home nations, so you've got England, Ireland, Scotland, and Wales all coming together. Then they go to the UK, and then they go to the world. So it's fascinating to watch, and was brilliant to be part of at the weekend. Let's move back to football, shall we? Because Eddie Howe's left Newcastle, as we know, largely due to PSR rules holding him back. Same can be said really for Aston Villa, who have had to deal with PSR issues as well. Here's what Gabby Bonlahor had to say on the Breakfast Show the other day.
And I think the worrying thing for Newcastle, and it's the same for Aston Villa, I mean, I wake up every morning now feeling so lucky that Unai Emery's still there.
Yeah.
Because people laugh about these FSR, whatever they're called, financial fair play rules. They're a joke. Look at Aston Villa, right? Finish in the top 4, win the Europa League, and then your best player, Morgan Rogers, leaves. Why can't Aston Villa keep hold of their best players and then say, we're going to get to spend 150 mil like Chelsea, Man City, Liverpool, Arsenal, and then can't we go and challenge for the title? These rules, they're there to keep the so-called top 6 there. Yeah. And this season coming, the so-called top 6, they call it, will finish in the top 6. I'm sure of it. Aston Villa, with what they're able to bring in, I'm going to be able to challenge.
Gab, I've had a conversation with you.
This time last year, that Unai Emery, this time next year, we'll be lucky to have Unai Emery as the manager because it grates on every manager.
Gab, I've had a conversation with you before, and I've said that if a big club like Manchester United comes in for your manager or players, they'll leave. And you're like, no, that would never happen. How's Yuri Tillemans working out for you?
Yeah, but that's a release clause, isn't it? That's a stupid release clause of 35 million.
Could have stayed.
No, I agree. I don't blame him. He's 29. He's won. He scored a great goal in the final Europa League. Manchester United are a bigger club than Aston Villa. I understand why players would leave Aston Villa. But what I'm saying, Andy, is How? If it's Everton in a few years, if it's Sunderland, whoever it is that wants to try and break into that top four and try and do amazing things as a football club, you're restricted.
Andy, do you want to go first?
Listen, you are restricted. Gabby has got a point. You are restricted. However, it doesn't mean it's impossible. I mean, Villa have got into the top four, and look, they're going to have it full on this year, having sold Morgan Rogers, Yuri Tielemans, Luca Digna's gone. Whoever, if there's another one goes out the door between now and the season starting, that would be a disappointment. So nothing's ever easy, Katie, but it's not beyond the wit of man and of Aston Villa as a club to get people through the door. They've got a great manager, as Gabby says. I still think they'll be a really competitive team. I think they're in and around the top six and won't be far away from having a look at those top four positions.
I mean, frustrating, we'll see financial regulations, which are there to protect clubs in truth. In current system, it's clearly not working, is it? I mean, it's clearly not working. But the system's going to change, isn't it, very soon?
Yeah.
Now, how that will affect the Villas and the Newcastle of the world, haven't got a clue. We just got to wait and find out. But I get it from their perspective. They see, the likes of Chelsea, for example, just to take one example, or Tottenham, spending seeming fortunes. And of course it's going to be frustrating if you're a Newcastle or a Villa fan like Gabby.
Yep. And also Chelsea were fined 10 million on Friday, weren't they, by the FA,
yep,
and a suspended transfer ban after admitting FA rule breaches. That was back in 2022 under Abramovich. You've also got the Man City 115 charges we're still waiting about, brought by the Premier League. So Jeff, do you think the traditional Big Six will re-establish themselves next season?
Not necessarily. I mean, the reason I say that is because, look, I think Arsenal are in a fantastic position. But Manchester City, new manager, maybe going to lose Rodri. Liverpool, new manager, lost players. Chelsea, new manager, spent a lot of money. United, not spent. I don't know, I mean, it's hard to make an argument for who might break in there, because obviously Villa and Newcastle cash-strapped, Newcastle losing their manager as well. Spurs got a lot of ground to make up. I'm not saying they won't, but they've got a lot of ground to make up as well. Can you make a case for the likes of Brighton? Maybe, but they lost Danny Welbeck and they got European football as well, so I don't know, very difficult to say. The one thing I'm pretty confident of at this moment is that Arsenal will win the league.
Yeah, they look like it. I always think that the team that wins the Premier League, they are absolutely, quite rightly, are the ones to beat, the ones to catch. Everyone's got to try and focus on them and look to prevent them from trying to do it again. I would imagine if they get off to a really strong start, I don't know their opening fixtures, Arsenal. I'll have a look in a minute. But I would thought if they get off to a really strong start, then they're absolutely going to put themselves in a position where they're going to be extremely difficult to stop.
Arsenal's opening game against Coventry, then they've got Aston Villa, Chelsea, Sunderland, Brighton.
Right,
it's a tough start. I think
that's a tough start. Yeah, not easy. But listen, they're all their players are a good age, are at the right age, and the guys like Bruno they're looking to bring in. Yeah. They're only looking to get stronger. They're not weakening in any way at the minute.
Just briefly, Ben says financial regulations serve no purpose other than to maintain the status quo. They claim it's to stop clubs going bankrupt, but look at the mess of my club, Sheffield Wednesday. The rules did not help one bit. Thanks, Ben. And thanks, Katie.
Thank you.
Thanks,
guys.
And that was all thanks to Costa Express. Coming up, does Mykhailo Mudryk have a future at Chelsea?
The Costa Coffee Break on talkSPORT, sponsored by Costa Express. Get a regular Costa Express iced coffee as part of your Tesco meal deal at participating Tesco stores. Terms and conditions apply.
Liverpool are set to place an opening bid for Bradley Barcola, but what PSG want and what Liverpool are willing to offer at the moment seems quite far away.
Yeah, there's a goal from valuation, but that's normal. PSG's starting position is £145 million. And my information is that in terms of the fixed fee, Liverpool are looking at roughly 80 million, maybe some add-ons on top. But that's the starting point. And knowing this is going to be a difficult negotiation because of PSG's starting position and the fact that they haven't signed Yan Diomande, Liverpool might need to be patient. And my expectation is it might run a similar course to Alexander Isak. And by that, I don't mean the player will agitate and go on strike. But what I do mean is with Alexander Isak, Liverpool placed what they thought was a fair offer early. When it was rejected, they waited until right towards the end of the window and the deal got done in the final hours. And you may note that Newcastle went from not for sale to 125 million, and somewhere in the middle, they were asking for 150 million about 3 weeks before the deal got done. So PSG's starting position, 145, very normal in deals for that to come down by 20 to 25 million. If Liverpool are prepared to go up by 10 or 15 million, suddenly the parties are not that far apart. So the first bid likely testing the water, and then we'll understand whether PSG are grandstanding or they genuinely believe that they can get over £20 million more than the deal that saw Morgan Rogers leave Aston Villa for Chelsea at 117 million.
Time for another one of those what-if sliding doors moments from the world of football. In 2010, Sam Allardyce's Blackburn Rovers were plodding along in the Premier League, never really in danger of relegation, but not sharp enough in front of goal to challenge for a European place. The club's then head of recruitment, Martin Glover, was alerted to a Polish striker at Lech Poznan, who'd scored 21 goals in 34 games. His name, Robert Lewandowski. Glover and Allardyce flew to Poland to watch the 21-year-old, and they liked what they saw. Conversations were had, and all that remained was for Lewandowski to fly to England to have a look around and talk Turkey. However, a once-in-a-blue-moon geological incident had other ideas. After 187 years of dormancy, the Eyjafjallajökull volcano in Iceland erupted, causing flights across Europe to be grounded for nigh on a month. That meant that Lewandowski never made it to Ewood Park, and Borussia Dortmund beat Blackburn to his signature. He'd go on to win 10 Bundesligas and 1 La Liga at various clubs. Just imagine that sort of impact on Blackburn's history, Sam Allardyce's CV, and the shape of English football itself.
A very good morning to you. This is talkSPORT Breakfast with me, Jeff Stelling, Andy Townsend and Arnold Clark. It's the perfect time to upgrade your car. Get 2 years free servicing when you buy a used car in the upgrade event. Check it out online. Alan says, Jeff, Andy, you're talking about traditional top six. Please be clear, Man City are not one of them. Yes, they've won a lot, but they've all been bought. Thank you, Alan.
They've been up there for a long time now.
Traditional top six, yeah, I completely get that. It depends, how far do you go back?
Correct.
For a traditional top six. So I do take the point.
Yeah.
I always think talking about the big six anyway is nonsense in this day and age, in truth.
True.
And he's upset a few Leeds fans.
Sorry, guys.
By declaring they'll drop from 14th to 16th next season. Let's bring in a regular caller, Dan. He's a Leeds fan. Morning, Dan.
Morning, guys. How are you, Jeff? Andy, all right?
All right,
Yeah,
Dan.
very good. Thanks, Dan. Do you want to put him right?
Well, do you know what? To be honest, why couldn't they finish 10th, Andy? What's the reason why, please?
Just listen. I can only go by what I was looking at last time round, Dan, and they may well surprise everybody. I just think you're the sort of club at the moment with the playing staff that you've got, and despite the fact you've brought in one or two decent ones, I just think you're always going to be looking over your shoulder, wondering what's going on below you rather than what's happening above. I just do.
I think it happens on one thing, really, Andy, and I'm hoping you and Jeff can fill me in with this morning. Can you please put us minds to rest, and everybody who's a Leeds fan, what is going on with this Trafford saga, please? Can you give us any news on that, please?
We've just been talking about it. There's been a lot of speculation about it. I think that would be a very positive signing for your club. But I don't know why it seems to be dragging its heels. I've got no idea, Jeff.
No, Dan, I don't know either. But
I think it's an holiday, isn't it, Jeff? But yeah.
yeah, well, look, he's not going to play on a regular basis at Man City. It looked like Newcastle were the rivals in signing him, Dan, but they've signed a new goalkeeper now, so he's not going to be going there. So I think you are absolutely nailed on.
That's fine, hopefully, mate. Yeah, before I go, can I give a shout-out to my mate Andy Beaumont and Connors, please?
Good lad, Danny.
Much for your call, gents.
Thanks, Dan.
Cheers, Dan.
Cheers, mate.
Defensively, Jeff, Leeds. Defensively, right? I just think, again, and that's... Listen, that can change all of a sudden. You can start the season well, and the back four can look really strong and really solid. And as you say, you get a good goalkeeper between the posts, a young guy that's highly rated. That'll help. But I just still see Leeds as one of those teams that are going to find it difficult, I think, to really start to get into that top 10. I just do.
Yeah. All right, let's spend a few minutes with a bit of this.
Do you know, I'm going to say something here, Ali. Not for me, Clive. I mean, that's just something you just say to people. Any second now, we're going to hear the biggest rip where his bum cheeks come flying out the back of them strides. Oh, it's lovely when you wake up, there's a mattress outside your front door, isn't there? We got a bloke at work, we call him Pothole because everyone tries to avoid him. I thought I saw something similar to a large cat. Not for me, Clive.
Tad put Andy Townsend to the test in for me or not for me, Clive. Just before we got a text here saying, Dan, the last caller, a.k.a. Johnny Vegas. And he did sound like him, didn't he?
He did.
Brilliant. So first up, Andy, Chelsea manager Xabi Alonso says he's very happy to be welcoming Mikhailo Mudryk back into his squad, but it's too early to understand what he can do. Let's hear from Alonso now.
I am very happy for him. For me, for sure, but mainly for him, because it's massive. What I've said, to go through what he has done, to get that frustration not to play what you love to do, it has to be really, really hard. So now for sure he's so excited, and we want to help him in that, and that he feels part of something, because that's about football, about being team, this team spirit, this team everyday training, and you miss that when you are not allowed.
So Mikhailo Mudryk still has a future at Chelsea. For me or not for me, Clive?
For me, Clive, I think Jeff that he does. Look, he last played November 24. I mean, and that's a long time. It's very difficult in football when you come out of a team or for whatever reason, injuries or whatever, it's not always straightforward to go back in and pick it up. Look, I sincerely hope he can. I remember when he first signed for Chelsea, I mean, electric pace this guy has got, which is an asset to any team, make no mistake about that. And I remember the first few games, I think all the signs were very positive. Then it kind of looked like he was getting lost in games a little bit to me, and wasn't really totally sure of the role he was being asked to play. Look, he's had a lot of time, Jeff, to consider everything in his life. And you'd like to think on the back of what he's been through, is a different Mykhailo Mudryk. And I think give the kid a chance. And I'd like to think he's going to show a bit more determination to make a success of it.
Yeah, I think give him a chance, but I don't see it working.
No.
Remember, when he was playing for Chelsea, a lot of Arsenal fans were relieved because they'd been linked with him.
Correct.
Relieved. They thought they got
with
away with one because he didn't go there because he was so poor.
I don't see him being a key starter under Xabi Alonso. Far from it. And I think the way that the new coach worded that little statement that he's done there, was pretty much, look, he comes back into the squad. We'll see how he does. If it's not happening, then obviously he'll have to go and play his football elsewhere.
Yeah. One more quick one. Charlie Hull went viral last week when she pranked her caddy with a fake scratch card, making him believe he'd won £100,000. The video was criticised across social media, but Charlie bit back when asked about the reaction.
I don't care, I just live me. Like, my family and friends are around me, we just live it how we want to. Like, our household, we got a lot of banter, and we always taking the mickey out of each other. So it's just the way I've been brought up, and I think people just need to be a bit more tough-skinned. He thought the joke was brilliant himself. He was showing everybody about it. He was laughing hard about it. And then when you hear comments, so many people saying how bad it is and this and that, I'm like, just lighten up. You obviously don't get my humour, and I don't care if you don't get my humour because my friends get my humour, and that's why they're my friends. And I wouldn't do it to a random person that I knew wouldn't take it very well, but we all knew Adzi, he's the king of pranks. Like, the amount of pranks that he's done on his caddy mates have been way worse than that, and he just finds it hilarious.
So pranking someone into thinking they've won a lot of money, for me or not for me?
Well, I have always been someone very much at the front of those sort of horrible jokes that you play on others, Jeff. And I would laugh at that myself. If it happened to me, I would find it hilarious because I too would probably be jumping up and down, going, "Well, I've won a right few quid." Or so I'm with Charlie on that one. Listen, why do people? One thing does annoy me in life when others are offended by something that's happened to someone, but the person that's happened to isn't offended by it.
Yeah.
Come on, let's have a laugh. Get on with it, guys. It was only meant as a bit of fun. And everyone else is mortally wounded by it, but the actual person the trick was played on found it funny.
Yeah.
What's wrong with that?
And people who criticise, I get it on the face of it, but they don't know Charlie Hull. And the caddy, and they don't know the relationship between the two of them, so they don't know.
Do you know? I did see one of those, Jeff. There was one knocking around. Probably people out there listening. There was a Geordie guy, bless him, and again someone would put one of those fake scratch cards in, and he stood over and went, "Oh, I've won $100,000. I've won," and he really was adamant about it. And of course the family were playing it. Like someone was filming on a phone, and the poor guy must have been devastated afterwards, heartbroken. But it is come on, it's a bit of laugh in this world, in this day and age. Let's just have a little bit of a laugh and a giggle about things like that.
Yeah. A couple of really good texts quickly. Bruce is a Man United fan this morning. Jeff and Andy, as a United fan, it's hard to say, but we won't be top six, especially with European football. And the manager is most likely to lose his job, sadly, as every player he wanted has gone somewhere else. Said the same every season since Fergie left. The owners do not back the manager and set him up to fail.
Wow.
Thanks, Bruce. And here's another one. Steve says, "Hi, Andy. Hi, Jeff. What chance Liverpool, Chelsea, Man U, Spurs and Man City all finish the season with the same managers they start with?"
Good shout.
I would say nil.
Yeah, probably. Rare that would be, but we'll see. But that's an interesting one about United. I mean, on the back of the way it finished for Michael last season, all the vibes very, very positive, and already one or two starting to, raise an eyebrow a little bit at the lack of perhaps activity at the moment. I'm sure that will step up over these next few weeks.
And Ryan has just texted, we talked about Mykhailo Mudryk, and said Chelsea thought they'd had one over when they signed Mudryk for 100 million. Instead, we signed Premier League winner Leandro Trossard for 20 million.
Yeah.
Hard to argue with that, Ryan. Still to come on breakfast.
Breakfast preview on talkSPORT with Travis Perkins. Spend £100 or more in-store or online as a trade account holder and you could win a brand new Ford Ranger. T's and C's apply.
Just under 3 weeks away from the return of the Premier League, Kai Havertz in the papers today, saying he wants to win it all and warning their rivals things are only going to get better for the Gunners. Phone lines are open. Arsenal fans, it's going to be a season of dominance. Fans of other clubs, are you worried they really could win the lot. Oh, it's awfully early to say that yet, isn't it? 03717 223344 is the number. Give us a call. Of course, football's back before then, because this weekend we've got the Carabao Cup and the start of the National League season. Yep, mighty Hartlepool. First home game against Barrow. And that was our breakfast preview with Travis Perkins.
Breakfast preview on talkSPORT with Travis Perkins. Want to win a brand new Ford Ranger? Just spend £100 or more using your Travis Perkins trade account to enter into the draw. T's and C's apply.
Noticed that on social media, Curtis Jones liked the posts where Inter Milan announced Stones as a player.
He's acting like a spoiled brat. I saw his behaviour last night on the pitch.
This was after the friendly.
Yeah, I understand the frustration that you should have got the armband. He's been, he's a scouser. He's been there 20 years. Blah 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 blah. But to act like that and for it to carry on, because it went on for about 2 minutes.
Was it him and Dominic Szoboszlai?
Yeah, he was having a go at Szoboszlai, who handed the armband over, I think, to Tsimikas. Mm-hmm. And I believe Curtis Jones had the temper tantrum over that. It's just like that behaviour can't happen. Not from a graduate from the academy. He's too into himself. So if he wants to go,
source of his frustration not so much the captain's armband in a pre-season friendly, it's the fact he wants to leave, is it?
Yeah, okay, so he wants to leave. Well, okay, now Liverpool have to get the best deal for the football club. That's how it works, okay? You don't get to throw your toys out of the pram and do it slowly, knowing him, and then act like that. I just don't understand it. You're playing for one of the biggest football clubs in the world. You came through the system. Behave. Stop. That's all eyes are on you. That's not behind closed doors. That might go on in training and all those things, but you don't want to see that going on actually for millions of people to watch.
And it's not great for Andoni Iraola, fresh in the manager's.
No, and I'm sure he'll move past that. And I think Szoboszlai was asked in the press conference, and he didn't even talk about it. But it's just you hate seeing stuff like that. I really do. I think it's so petulant. Do you know what I mean? So, and then when you're liking Inter Milan's post, okay, we get it. You want to go to Inter Milan, probably last 5 minutes out there.
Very good morning. This is talkSPORT Breakfast with me, Jeff Stelling and Andy Townsend. Green other post. He says, "Morning, boys. Forget the top six lads. Spurs 25-1 to win the league. That's where my money is going.
That's
one
a brave
game
bet.
a week. Fresh squad. New signings coming in.
Some good signings. I do like some of the signings Jeff Spurs have made. I really do.
Yeah, he says if we can get Osimhen and Rashford in, and get Romero and Vicario out of the door, nothing can stop us. Still a couple of pretty big asks there, though.
It's a funny goalkeeper, Vicario, isn't he?
Yeah.
Right? Under pressure from corners, whenever those corners were coming in under the bar and everyone's standing around him, he was flapping all over the place.
He's not going to be the number one, is he? I think Kinski's
correct.
Re-established
Looks like he's there now, doesn't he?
himself there. Yeah, and did they bring Dubravka in as well? Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, if things go wrong for Kinski, they've got a very experienced backup there. Look, headlines this morning after a 4-1 win against Girona in their pre-season game. Arsenal boss Mikel Arteta ruled out the exits, which had been speculated on in some of the press, of Victor Gyökeres, saying the Swedish striker will stay. No real surprise there, not to me anyway.
Not to me either. I thought he did okay. I thought he did well last season. Yeah. I did, honestly. I thought it not easy, and he was always very much the focus. And would he get the numbers? Well, I think his all-round game was pretty consistent for Arsenal. I really do.
Yeah, I mean, look, I didn't think he had a brilliant season, but he weighed in with some big goals.
Yeah, he did.
Vinicius Junior's agents have hit out at fake and damaging reports from the media following transfer speculation linking the Brazilian to a move to Arsenal. What the heck that's meant to mean, I've got no idea.
No.
And the Premier League might still be a few weeks away, but the Scottish Premiership is underway. Rangers dropped points in Derek McKenna's first game in charge against Dundee United. Hearts led going into added time at Pittodrie against Aberdeen, but ended up losing the game by 2-1. And of course, Celtic, they face Dundee tonight. Let's get more on this. We'll bring in a man who won 8 major trophies with Celtic, the former Aston Villa, Stoke and Ipswich manager, Paul Lambert. Morning, Paul.
Morning, Paul.
Morning, lads. Morning.
Look, a lot to get through, Paul. Let's start off with Derek McInnes, who's already getting battered because they didn't win their opening game, Rangers at Dundee United.
That's the nature of the beast, Jeff. Up in Glasgow, I'm afraid you don't win games. That's exactly what happens, and you don't get time in the Celtic or Rangers. And Derek will probably know that yourself, being a player. So, but as everybody knows, it's the start of the season. Anything can happen, and it's a long, long way to go, as they say.
Yeah, I think Derek's a great manager, Paul. I really do. I really like the way that he does the job, and I thought what he did last year with Hearts was amazing. Does he have enough to absolutely go and win the SPL this year?
I'm not sure, Andy. I think when you bring in that amount of players, you probably know when you bring in that amount of players at one time, people think it's going to work, and all of a sudden it doesn't work because everybody has to get to know each other. You're never quite sure if they can handle the Glasgow atmosphere and the intensity of it. So there's a lot to it, where I think if you can bring in 2 or 3, then that's enough. But I don't think their squad's strong enough at the minute, just because a lot of the lads don't know it.
Just before we move on to Celtic, Paul, Derek McInnes' old club Hearts, I mean, they've had an absolute nightmare start, haven't they? Lost both of their European games comprehensively as well, and then they've lost that game in pretty dramatic circumstances against Aberdeen. New manager in place. Was last season a flash in the pan?
Do you know, Jeff, Celtic and Rangers were poor last season. There's no taking away from that, and Hearts had a little run at it, but I was never convinced they were going to win it, just because I don't know how they know how to win it. I think that's the key to it. So it could be a flash in the pan, as you quite rightly said there. And they've not got off the best of start. The new manager's having a hard time already with it. But that was always going to be a big ask going in after what Derek had done at Hearts, regardless who was going to be the manager. And they've lost a couple of players there as well. So it's going to take a little bit of time for them to get up to speed, I think.
It's amazing, Paul, to think where Celtic were a year ago. At this point, going into an opening SPL season, and to where they ended up and where they go into this one, I'm sure they would feel in a much better place and favourites to get it all done and dusted again.
I think the manager, Andy's the key to it. I think Martin knows it really, really well. He knows that the Glasgow scene, as I said, he knows what it takes to win at Celtic. He knows what's required. And Celtic, I still think will bring a few in. I don't think it'll be as many as 8 players. Will still bring a few in. I think the lads have signed, to be fair, I think look really good. So I think Celtic will be favourites again for this title.
I think Martin will be keen to bring more in, though, won't he? Because they sold Maeda, for example.
Yep.
I think they expect to lose a couple more as well, don't they? The boy they brought in up front was prolific in Denmark. But how many more would you say they need to bring in, Paul?
I heard his interview the other day, and I think he said he'd lost 14. I think that was the number. So he's got to bring at least Oh, I don't, dear Jeff, I think another 4 or 5 to give them a hand, because they've got Europe and they want to do well in Europe, plus the domestic side of it. And as I said before, if you don't win up in Glasgow, then it's a really difficult place to place. But I think he still needs a good number of players to come in and help them.
Yeah, Dundee at home to start with. I mean, Dundee had a decent season last season. Are they a threat?
They will be, because it's the opening game. Anything can happen, and it can surprise a few. But Celtic at home, you still expect Celtic to win the game, albeit it'll be pretty difficult. But you still expect Celtic to win the game.
Paul, brilliant. Looking forward to it very much, mate. Enjoyed some of the football in Scotland at the weekend as well. Thanks for joining us, mate.
Take care, Paul.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, it was good. It was a really, really good start. I saw some of that Dundee United against Rangers game. It's really difficult for Derek McKenna. It's really difficult because, you know,
he's right.
Every Rangers fan expects somebody off to a winning start, but he wants and needs more investment.
Of course he does. You mentioned Daizen Maeda there. He scored a goal in the World Cup. I'm pretty sure it was him that scored it. Someone will correct me otherwise. One of the Japan goals, one of my favourite goals in the entire competition. Brilliant sort of one-touch movement, and I liked him, Jeff. I really liked Maeda. Always willing to run in behind and always offering himself. For midfield players, sometimes you look up and you see someone looking at you, coming towards you. Not easy, that. Sometimes you want people who are running in the other direction. He was absolutely brilliant at that. So he'll be missed, he will.
Yeah. Couple of quick texts. Matty says, where's all this Monday negativity coming from? It's still sunny in the northwest. Just put a bet on United to win the league and the Champions League. Buzzing to get back in that ground. Up the Reds. Happy Monday, lads. Thanks, Matty. Happy Monday to you as well. And a text, he said, excuse me, am I listening to Arsenal radio? What's this rubbish about them winning it all? Well, you can have your say on that. 03717 223344. Get your calls in. Next on the Premier League title race. Are Arsenal set to run away with it? You'll hear from a very confident Kai Havertz in a few moments.
I mean, I wake up every morning now feeling so lucky that Unai Emery's still there.
Yeah.
Because people laugh about these FSR, whatever they're called, financial fair play rules. They're a joke. Look at Aston Villa, right? Finish in the top 4, win the Europa League, and then your best player, Morgan Rogers, leaves. Why can't Aston Villa keep hold of their best players and then say, we're going to get to spend 150 mil like Chelsea, Man City, Liverpool, Arsenal, and then why can't we go and challenge for the title? These rules, they're there to keep the so-called top 6 there.
Yeah.
And this season coming, the so-called top 6, they call it, will finish in the top 6. I'm sure of it.
Gab,
Aston Villa, with what they're able to bring in, aren't going to be able to challenge.
Gab, I've had a conversation with you.
This time last year, that Unai Emery, this time next year, we'll be lucky to have Unai Emery as the manager because it's great on every manager.
Gab, I've had a conversation with you before, and I've said that if a big club like Manchester United comes in for your manager or players, they'll leave. And you're like, no, that would never happen. How's Yuri Tillemans working out for you?
Yeah, but that's a release clause, isn't it? That's a stupid release clause of 35 million.
Could have stayed.
No, I agree. I don't blame him. He's 29. He's won. He scored a great goal in the final Europa League. Manchester United are a bigger club than Aston Villa. I understand why players would leave Aston Villa. But what I'm saying, Andy, is how, if it's Everton in a few years, if it's Sunderland, whoever it is that wants to try and break into that top 4 and try and do amazing things as a football club, you're restricted.
Toffees to the Tractor Boys, the Eagles to the Seagulls, Gunners, Bees, Hammers and Magpies, Premier League teams have got a load of crazy nicknames. Ever wondered where they came from? Let's start with Everton. They're dubbed the Toffees, but why? Well, because when the club was formed, just down the road there were two local toffee shops. Ye Ancient Everton Toffee House and Mother Noblet's Toffee Shop were big fan favourites. Next, they say if you can't beat 'em, join 'em, and that's exactly what Ipswich Town did when it came to their nickname. The term Tractor Boys used to be chanted by their opponents as a way of putting the team down for their farming background. But during one game back in the late 90s, Ipswich were 1-0 up and they decided to flip the script. 1-0 to the Tractor Boys, they sang, and a new nickname was born. Let's head to Leicester, famous for more than just a red, well, orangey cheese and Jamie Vardy. Leicestershire is also the birthplace of fox hunting, hence the Foxes. Next up, turns out apples are not the only fruit that don't fall far from the tree. Bournemouth's nickname, the Cherries, comes from the fact the club's stadium was originally built right next to a bunch of cherry orchards. This next story actually involves two club nicknames. It started with Crystal Palace. They were having an absolute nightmare run back in the early 70s. They'd been relegated after a terrible spell and manager Malcolm Allison decided enough was enough. He wanted a new nickname, something strong, fast and destined for success. Something exactly like an eagle. But there's more to this one. Brighton were in search of a nickname too, and Palace finally gave them what they needed. In a heated match between the two back in 1976, Palace fans began chanting, "Eagles, Eagles." And some clever Brighton fans came up with the perfect reply, "Seagulls, Seagulls." Not all club nicknames have a crazy story though. Take the Gunners. That just comes from the fact a group of munitions workers in the Royal Arsenal factory in Woolwich set up the club in 1886. On the flip side, some nicknames seem simple, but there's a bit more to them, like West Ham. The Hammers is actually nothing to do with the ham part of the name. It comes from the fact the club used to be called Thames Ironworks FC and was made up of workmen and shipbuilders. So next time the away end's chanting their crazy nickname, you'll now know exactly where it came from.
Good morning to you, Monday, August the 3rd, 4 minutes past 8 o'clock. This is talkSPORT Breakfast with me, Jeff Stelling and Andy Townsend and Arnold Clark's Deal Drop. Get the new car feeling without the new car price. Discover some of their biggest savings and find out your next car today. A big headline overnight-ish. Wales have become the first national governing body to withdraw support for Gianni Infantino.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that means a great deal, to be brutally honest. Are you? You know? We will be joined by one of FIFA's fiercest critics a little later to find out just what he makes of the Infantino saga.
He knows how to play the game, you know, and he's done very well for himself. And these guys are survivors. And if you play the game right and you know how your constituencies work and so on, you can get away with quite a lot.
Yeah, a man who certainly knows the former chairman of the FA and Man City, David Bernstein. We'll also be chatting to Solly March a little later on. He'll give us the lowdown on what it's like to share a dressing room with Danny Welbeck following his move to Chelsea. We'll also try and get some clues about his future as well, of course, released by Brighton after 15 years at the end of the season. All that to come and more. But now, for much of last season, there was a buzz about Arsenal potentially winning a quadruple. We all know how that one turned out. This year, Kai Havertz has already boasted that's exactly what they're trying to do. After a 4-1 pre-season win over Girona, Havertz declared they want to win it all this season.
We
want all the trophies. That's what we're here for. And I think we missed out on a lot the last couple of seasons. Obviously, we won the Premier League now, but there's a lot more that we can do. And we have to reach another level to make that happen, because we know how long the season is. We know how hard it is to go through the competitions, and we want to do it better again this year and make things happen again.
Having won the league last season, you mentioned this to me in the break. Do you think it's more emphasis on the Champions League this time?
Possibly, without wanting to obviously downplay anything else around it. Possibly there will, within the camp, that little bit of extra determination to try and get over the line in the Champions League. They'll be right in there again. Champions League is such fine margins, those matches, when you get to the quarters and the semis of those games. You can be in pole position with 10 minutes to go and go out. It's very, very difficult to absolutely guarantee anything at that level and that stage of that competition. They're the team to beat in the Premier League. I think the squad, I just looked at the squad again, Jeff. They've got so many good players. I mentioned to you about William Saliba obviously being out for a bit, not sure, a back injury, and backs can be a bit weird. You can feel like it's all clearing up, then all of a sudden something doesn't feel right again. They can frustrate you. But they've got Nkapie, they've got Calafiori, they've got others that can all play alongside Gabriel and cope admirably in that position. Still got, as far as I'm aware, unless I've missed something, but they've still got players to cover pretty much every position, every eventuality. So they're in great shape, great health. And if they get another big one through the door, another real top draw player, and I'm not sure who that is and in what position that would necessarily be, but I think if they sent a message in that respect, oh wow, they're going to take some stopping.
Well, obviously it looks like Bruno Guimaraes is going to be through the door.
He's the one. Do you like him?
I love him. I absolutely love him.
I didn't like his silly run up for Brazil on that penalty when he missed it, which they're all daft, those, we know that. But he's a good player. I really like him because he can operate deeper or in the 10 position. Do you think Odegaard's position is, especially when he's a skipper, he's captain?
Sure.
Do you think that is seriously under threat?
I think he's seriously under threat. And although he's a very different type of player to Bruno Guimaraes, I wonder how many games Eberechi is going to start. They have a lot of matches. And Kai Havertz is talking about winning all four. He's banging the drum. He's being asked a question.
Of course he is.
What's he expected to say?
Yeah.
But from Mikel Arteta's point of view, I don't think he'll care. Winning four, that's not what's on his mind.
No.
Winning the Premier League's on his mind.
Yeah.
And winning the Champions League. Those are the two things that, to me, are on his mind.
No, yeah, without question. And he's absolutely got everything at his disposal to make that happen. Again, I think they're the team to catch and to beat in the Premier League. And I wouldn't bet against them again in the Champions League. They went so close. And I think as a team and as a club, Arsenal have been very close with the Premier League over the last 2 or 3 years. And often it's the case, it seems, that, you hear that word suffering, have to suffer a little bit. And certainly they suffered, Arsenal, in terms of Premier League over the last 2 or 3 years. But last year stepped up and hung in there and got it done and deservedly won it. And I think they're going to be very difficult to deny again.
Here's another question. Look, we talk about Bruno Guimaraes. Looks like he's going to be through the door. There's been so much speculation about Vinicius Junior. If you're an Arsenal supporter, how much do you want Vinicius Junior? Yeah, and I say that in the sense that, to me, I look at Arsenal, proper unit, a lot of good players in there. Vinicius Junior would arrive as a superstar.
Yeah.
The superstars have plenty of issues in the past as well, and I wonder whether his presence at Arsenal, not all those issues, by the way, were his own making, I should say that. But I just wonder whether it might destroy that sort of unity, that togetherness.
Very true. It's very true, Jeff. And you know what? That's always the danger with players coming through the door. Everyone thinks, oh, great, we've done. But if the balance just gets tilted a little bit and things go out of kilter, you can lose a bit rather than gaining. Look, I personally think... I don't think it's going to happen, and I think that
no, I don't.
The comments we've heard from Vinny Junior's representatives today would suggest that if there was anything happening or was there any conversations out there, that they pretty much probably stopped and dried up. But I actually would love to see him come here, and I think he could do very well, Vinny Junior, at a club like Arsenal.
Yeah.
I look, Bukayo Saka's their best wide man by a distance in terms of being productive. He and didn't necessarily see the very best of him in the summer. Perhaps because his fitness issues. I think he's a wonderful player, I really do. But I like Martinelli. Noni Madueke, the end product bit for him is the bit he's got to find a little bit more of. Certainly no fault in his commitment, his effort and his desire to want to try and do it. He just doesn't produce like some of those other guys. And I from what I saw of Vini Jr. playing for Brazil again, he was the only striker to me that ever looked like he might do something for him in a Brazil team, Jeff, that quite frankly was average. But I would really love to see him ply his trade in the Premier League. And if it was at a club like Arsenal, I think it would only make them significantly stronger. I really do.
Who do you see as the principal challengers to Arsenal?
I'm fascinated by what's going to go on at Liverpool. Fascinated there with how Andoni Iraola gets a grip of that team and what he can put into it. You know, what he did at Bournemouth was exceptional. Brilliant network of scouts and the way that they acquire players and turn 20 million players into 50 and 60, 70 million players within 18 months. They do it brilliantly. But I'm really intrigued to see how he's going to get that lot going. Isak last year was a problem. Obviously it was, you know, he came in with such a fanfare and behind him and everyone expected him to be so good. And obviously the injury that he got scuppered his season pretty much. So you'd like to think you're going to see a completely different Alexander Isak when the season gets underway. No Mo Salah, they haven't got those numbers to rely on anymore. Others have got to step up, but I don't know how long Ekitike is going to be, Jeff, before he's back. I'm thinking sometime yet, because I did like a lot of what he was doing, but I still think Liverpool are really interesting to see if Iraola can just inject something else into that group of players and into their game. And again, I know they lost. Was it last night, that game against Leeds? Forget about pre-season friendlies. Honestly, don't read too much into any of that. But I'd love to think he can develop a Liverpool squad like he did and shape like he did the Bournemouth one, because they were wonderful to watch. Really, really good, really exciting, really getting the ball forward, getting those forwards involved in the game, fast, aggressive players, what everyone wants to see. And if they return, I think, a little bit more to that, which was Klopp-like, then I think Liverpool could have a really strong season. They've still got a lot of very good players that they have.
Graham was a Chelsea fan, says, you talk about Arsenal with new signings running away with the league. If they get these players in, rewind 12 months, you were saying the same about Liverpool. Look how that worked out. Yeah, I get that, Graham. I'm not sure it's, because it happened with Liverpool doesn't mean to say that it's automatically going to have the same impact on Arsenal. And they've not brought in a lorry load of players, by the way, either at the moment. What about the two Manchester clubs?
United, again, I'm expecting United to be. I like the look of Cunha, of Mbeumo, Šeško. I like those guys. I think and Bruno playing as a 10. You know, to think that Ruben Amorim was playing Bruno as a holding midfielder was like, you know, sometimes mind boggles at some of the decisions some coaches tend to make with certain players. Playing Bruno as a 10, who was very quiet, I thought, at the World Cup, Bruno Fernandes.
Yes, he was, yeah.
And I don't know whether he had the ump with Ronaldo and the whole Ronaldo scene that was going on about, him wanting to still lead the line and still continuing to lead the line. Whether Bruno, I don't know, I just got the feeling body language-wise that wasn't great in that Portuguese camp. But I like him, and I think when he's playing in his best position, he can be very, very good. And I think those three guys that they've got up front, I think there's every chance that they could be really productive together. Again, there's been talk about some left-backs coming in at Man United. Lewis Hall's name's been mentioned, one or two others. So there's clearly positions that they're looking to improve and strengthen. But no, I think United, again, Jeff, should be absolutely in the picture from start to finish. They shouldn't be. I don't think we should be seeing a Man United team 10th in the league by the end of September or early October, something like that. I think they need to be in that top four from the get-go all the way through.
Need to get one or two over the line, don't they?
They do.
Yeah.
They do need to get.
Morning, Jeff. Morning, Andy. Great show as always. I think Arteta could be one of the first managers to be sacked mid-season. That comes from Tommy, who is a Spurs fan. And a mate of mine, Michael's, just texted me and said, listening in, said Vinicius Jr. all wrong for Arsenal. He said would much prefer Barcola and would never have let Trossard go yet either. Top player who still has so much to offer. I agree with that, right, Trossard?
I agree with that. I'm intrigued to know why someone like Vinny Jr. wouldn't be a fit at Arsenal. Perhaps someone can come on and tell us why, because I think good players, normally, you put good players in good teams, they usually work. Yeah. And he's a good player.
Michael goes on, he says, time to get the best out of the signings we've already made, like Eze and Madueke. Yeah. Completely agree with him there. Henry Villa fan says, morning, Villa flying solo under the radar. Best manager in the league. Finally, we have a squad to play the formation Emery wants to play. 4-2-2-2. Positive, yeah. Well, it's good you're being positive. I just think that Villa without Morgan Rogers could be slightly diminished this season. But we'll see. We'll see.
We will
Early
indeed.
days. This is talkSPORT Breakfast. It's 8:16. Up and said you got 10 players better than John Stones.
I said all time. I didn't say Prem, but let's stick to Prem. All right, let's do this.
Go on.
Virgil van Dijk, John Terry, Rio Ferdinand, Nemanja Vidic, Vincent Kompany.
Yeah,
that's five.
All right.
Yeah.
Are we going Tony Adams?
Oh yeah.
No,
you're not gonna say.
But go on.
I would.
Campbell.
I'd do Sol Campbell, defo.
And I'm a Tottenham
Sol
fan, so
Campbell,
Sol
come
Campbell
on,
out.
come on, Jamie.
Keep going.
I'm going Sol Campbell.
Yeah.
Oh. Gary Pallister.
Carvalho.
Mate, come on.
Carvalho.
Don't help him. Why are you helping him? Carvalho's not better than John Stones.
Carvalho. Ricardo Carvalho.
Jamie, hear me out.
Give me a break, man.
On his day, prime to prime, one game for a final, Ledley King.
Yeah, Ledley King. What, you telling me Ledley King? Oh, God, Jamie.
Listen, Jamie, not the career, but for one game in his prime.
I watched John Stones playing the Champions League final.
I know he was
unbelievable. He was unbelievable. So let's.
I hear it, but you know
come
what
on.
I think, I heard.
You can't be putting Ledley King above John Stones. He's won 6 Premier League titles.
Phil Jagielka, mate. Phil Jagielka.
Holy shut up, mate. Come on.
I mean, mate, Jamie.
Julian Lescott.
I would go as far as to say if Jan Vertonghen and Alderweireld played in that City team, they might have won the same honours.
Gary Cahill.
They would have won the same honours.
He's on Gary Cahill's level.
You're making a lot of noise, Cole. Good morning. This is talkSPORT Breakfast with me, Jeff Stelling and Andy Townsend. Phil in Manchester, great to see you both skirting over City's chances of the title again, like everyone else. New manager, yes. I think everyone forgets we won a cup double and won 6 out of the last 9 Premier League titles. Look, you can never rule City out of this.
Of course you can't. They've got so many good players. However, we've seen before, historically, we've seen those absolutely elite managers, when they leave clubs and others come through the door, it's not always straightforward. Really is. So I think for Enzo Maresca, he knows the players, he knows that group very well, or a fair amount of them, knows the club particularly well, but it's just not the same sometimes when things start. And again, when he's winning matches, everyone will go, great, it's all great. It's when he loses a couple, 2 or 3, people will start going, now what? That's the thing. That's when the question marks start to arise. So we'll see.
A couple of quick ones. Look, I've got 2 things about when I mentioned Wales, and the fact they've come out and declared they are opposed to Infantino. Shock horror, says an anonymous. Jeff takes a swipe at Wales for being the first to drop support for Infantino. Of course, I am well known to be anti-Welsh, aren't I? And another one from David says, I'd like to give my feedback about Jeff Stelling sniggering and whispering to Andy Townsend about Wales being the first country to withdraw support for Infantino for re-election. Didn't snigger, didn't whisper, by the way. So I'm not too sure what you were hearing, David. All I'm saying was, it doesn't matter. He goes on to say it. You're a British broadcaster and should not be sniggering about one of the home nations taking the lead. The home nations have not taken the lead. It doesn't require the English FA to come out. It doesn't require the Welsh FA. It doesn't require the Scottish FA, because the governing body, UEFA, have come out and done all that. And we've heard from FAs all over the world. So all I'm saying was that it just seemed all a little irrelevant, almost as if someone was looking for a headline there. That's all I'm saying. We're all on the same side. We all want Infantino. Well, maybe we don't all want Infantino out, but certainly the great majority of people want Infantino out. But, David, if you heard me sniggering, I'd look at your radio, pal. Right, let's get the latest odds with Coral and John Hill.
The Coral Daily Download on talkSPORT with Coral. We're here for the fans this season. 18 plus, gambleaware.org.
Oh, friend. Hey, Jude, don't make it bad.
Jude Bellingham. You can't have missed it back in Birmingham.
He was, wasn't he?
Last few days. It was the Birmingham City game. It was against Barca,
it was against Barca. It was, yeah.
And then he's been at the cricket as well during the course of the weekend. And Coral's John Hill bumped into him and even managed to have a picture taken with him. I'm not sure whether you can see it on screen at the moment, but John, good morning to you.
Morning, John.
Good morning, gentlemen. How are you doing?
Yeah, was he impressed to meet you?
Oh, he really was. What a charming young man he was, I have to say, chaps. Really impressive guy. Just got that aura about him, I have to say, as well. Absolute aura. And
there he is.
You can see.
There you both are.
Yeah. Oh, well, thank you very much, Jeff. That's very kind of you. But, you can just see how much he loves that football club, Birmingham, as well. I have to say, you could really see it. And they love him, the fans. I'm sure he'll be back one day there, guys, whether it's later in his career, whether Birmingham get back in the Premier League, which is obviously the ultimate goal. But I think he'll be back in Birmingham one day. I really do.
Yeah. Nice, John, as well. And I watched some of those images of Jude back at Blues.
Yeah.
Just walking down there, taking his seat and welcoming yourself and no doubt many others for pictures, photos, and not being hushed in and out the stadium with a big entourage around him. Not. Just mixing with everybody. And I think that's really good to see that.
It was rare to see, Andy. And honestly, he had time for so many people. He wasn't rushing anyone off. I had a chat with him about Jose for next season, playing under Jose, what that's going to be like. And he had time for everybody. He really did. And, really good to see, really, because they get a bad rap, don't they, some footballers? Yeah. And, he's got a great career ahead of him. I think he's going to end his career as England's greatest ever player. And he may not be far off doing that now. You think of that World Cup he had, Andy, and the goals he did from midfield. I think he's not far from that status. Yeah, impressive.
He's certainly
having a good one there, isn't he?
Yeah, he's certainly made a lot of friends if he needed to over the course of the last few days. I'm not sure he did need to. Certainly not in Birmingham anyway. Carabao Cup preliminary round tonight. Look, Rochdale through after a bonkers penalty shootout. I think it's fair to say, wasn't it, John?
It was a terrible shootout, Jeff. It really was, but we don't care one bit. We're in the first round, and it was strange to have a game that early in the season. You know, it was effectively an half-friendly and half-competitive game, wasn't it? But look, we got the job done. We're in the first round. Bradford away for us, and 90 minutes into the legs of a lot of players, so that's going to help us for the next 2 games. But we've got York and Crawley tonight, and what a summer York have had, Jeff. You know, incredible, really, losing the manager after last season. Scott Lindsay's coming now, and they take on Crawley tonight, don't they? They're 4-6 to get in that first round. What did you make of all that, Jeff?
Bonkers. Scott Lindsay obviously is the ex-Crawley manager as well.
Yeah.
I left a sour taste in the mouth. I wasn't surprised because the ownership are ruthless. They've done it before. They did it with Hinchelwood before that. But Stuart Maynard gets York City promoted before they can kick a ball back in the Football League. They've sacked him and replaced him with Scott Lindsay the next day. So, you know, I mean, it was a bit distasteful to outsiders, but, you know, there you go. It's just what happens. And it's just ironic that York take on Crawley this evening in that Carabao Cup preliminary round. Celtic in action as well. John, Scotland this evening. There'll be a short price to get off to a winning start.
They are, yeah. They're 2-9 to prevail tonight. They've actually shortened the bet without kicking a ball, guys, because Rangers drew on Friday night in their open, and then Hearts got beat against Aberdeen, didn't they, on Saturday? So before a ball had kicked, they've gone from 4-5 to 8-13 favourites to defend their title, Celtic. And you remember last season, it was a great campaign, wasn't it? 3 teams in the hunt, and Hearts just falling short, which is a real shame. Confidence in Celtic to defend the title, again, as I say, 8-13. It's 7-4 Rangers. Hearts is biggest 12-1 this year.
Interesting. John, usually or in years gone by, we've always spoke about Man City. Can they win all 4? Can this team win all? And now, of course, Kai Havertz he's gone out there and he said, yep, we're up for every competition we enter, etc., etc. What sort of price would Arsenal be at to win all 4? Have I put you on the spot there with that one?
No, you're right. You're absolutely right to ask it. They'll be around 200-1, Andy, which may seem short, but they'll be favourites in effectively probably at least 3. I've not looked at those 4 competitions, so when you add it all up, it isn't as much bigger than 200-1, really. So look, it's unprecedented. It takes some doing, won't it, really, to win all 4 competitions? But Arsenal have been popular in the title race. They're 7-4 favourites. City weak, actually. I know you had a good chat about Enzo and how that's going to be for them this season. They've been weak of the top 4 clubs at 11-4. Seen a bit of money for Liverpool. They've gone from 13-2 into 11-2. They might have to sort their defence out, though. I think they shipped in 4 against Leeds yesterday, so a bit of work to do for Iraola there on the back line. And then it's 7-1 Manchester United, 8-1 Chelsea. So that's the title betting. At the end of the day, they're defending champions Arsenal, and they're there to be shot at, aren't they, Andy?
Certainly are. No, they got everything in place, John, to be really strong again this time round. Really have.
John, thanks very much indeed.
Cheers, John.
Cheers. Good luck on Saturday against Barrow.
Oh, thanks. Who've Rochdale got?
We've got Newport away first league game, so a glamorous opening to League 2 for us.
Oh, and Newport with new manager in place as well, haven't they?
They have, yes. Yeah. So looking forward to it anyway, Rodney Parade.
Yeah, good luck, mate. Enjoy it.
Take care, John.
Cheers, guys.
And that was a look at the latest odds with Coral 18+, gambleaware.org.
The Coral Daily Download on talkSPORT with Coral. We're here for the fans this season. 18+, gambleaware.org.
Staying with Liverpool, there are some reports that they have now made a formal offer worth £100 million for Bradley Barcola. I reported a couple of days ago that Barcola wanted to make the move to Anfield, but you've not been too inspired by this possibility.
No, I'm with Jamie Carragher in the camp that I saw him the other day talking about it. We have like 3-4 left wingers already, players who can play there. We need to fill the void by Salah. Frimpong was meant to help with that, but we know he's got medical injury issues last year and not quite what we like to see out wide right when he did play. We need a right winger. It's concerning. And we're going out and we're getting another pacey player who plays on the left majority of the time. So unless Rio's going to get put on the right, square pegs, round holes, all that kind of thing. I don't know. I don't love it. because of the money. If he was 60, 70 million, and I get it, he's not,
Yeah.
you think, okay, it's a no-brainer. Then you maybe sell Gapco and you clear up some space on the left, and you still go get a right winger. But Liverpool right now are playing with one centre-back and the other centre-back on one leg. So, you know, they've got issues. McAllister's going to come back. He was a shadow of himself last year. They need some help in central midfield. Potentially need a right-back because really we haven't got a right-back. Frimpong's obviously going to play in
Joe
there,
Gomez is now
else.
going to miss the start of the season.
Yeah, that's Joe Gomez. God bless him. You know, could have been a world-class defender, but obviously injuries have stopped that. So Liverpool have got a lot of holes to fill. So, and you got to start a right wing to fill Mo Salah's, departure. So it does concern me that we're going down this rabbit hole where we might end up paying, I don't know, like the Weirds money, you overpay, and then does the player adapt to the Premier League, and is it another bad signing? And it's frustrating for me.
Time for another one of those what-if sliding doors moments from the world of football. In 2010, Sam Allardyce's Blackburn Rovers were plodding along in the Premier League, never really in danger of relegation, but not sharp enough in front of goal to challenge for a European place. The club's then head of recruitment, Martin Glover, was alerted to a Polish striker at Lech Poznan, who'd scored 21 goals in 34 games. His name, Robert Lewandowski. Glover and Allardyce flew to Poland to watch the 21-year-old, and they liked what they saw. Conversations were had, and all that remained was for Lewandowski to fly to England to have a look around and talk Turkey. However, a once-in-a-blue-moon geological incident had other ideas. After 187 years of dormancy, the Eyjafjallajökull volcano in Iceland erupted, causing flights across Europe to be grounded for nigh on a month. That meant that Lewandowski never made it to Ewood Park, and Borussia Dortmund beat Blackburn to his signature. He'd go on to win 10 Bundesligas and 1 La Liga at various clubs. Just imagine that sort of impact on Blackburn's history, Sam Allardyce's CV, and the shape of English football itself.
Good morning, 8:34. This is talkSPORT Breakfast with me, Jeff Stelling Andy Townsend and Arnold Clark. It's the perfect time to upgrade your car. Get 2 years free servicing when you buy a used car in the upgrade event. Check it out online. Tony Cotty coming up in a moment. First, we've been talking about Liverpool, well, briefly talking about Liverpool's 4-2 friendly defeat to Leeds. Less than impressive playing surface in Chicago. I think you'll be able to see it on screen if you're
nothing worse than that, Jeff.
No.
When you're travelling halfway around the
there you go,
carted halfway around the world, and
looks like carpet squares, doesn't it?
Yeah,
that,
and you get onto a pitch that is unpredictable at best. I mean, there's nothing worse than that after you've been going through a pre-season. Pre-season is very different now compared to the pre-seasons that you and I would have remembered from years ago. Crikey, years.
I didn't do pre-seasons.
Well, but
you might not have noticed.
But even playing at an amateur level years ago, it would have been very, very different. It was all long distance stuff, and
that was it.
You know, and nowadays it's the balls are out day one in training, and it's very, very different. Very different.
Just on that game last night when Liverpool lost 4-2, it's a pre-season friendly, and look. their side was unrecognisable from the side that it will be when they start the season. But are there concerns about defensive options going into the season? Conceded a couple against Sunderland in a friendly as well. And here's a question for you, Andy.
Go on.
One that you asked me.
Yeah.
During the break.
Yeah.
Trent Alexander-Arnold, if you're Liverpool, would you have him back if he wanted to come back?
Do you know what? Well, look, first and foremost, purely the player, if he came back to Liverpool, would he improve them? 100%. Yes. I'll be honest with you, the Frimpong one as a right back, I've not really don't really see. Again, it's so important nowadays with these fullbacks being such an important part of a team's attacking intentions. If you can't deliver anything half decent when you get into a good area, and from what I've seen of him so far, I've not really seen that final delivery, which Trent can do in his sleep, right? So I think he absolutely would improve them. Now, the question is, Jeff, is how the club would feel about. I mean, they'd obviously have to pay big money for him when he walked out the door for, modern day standards for a player of his quality, virtually nothing.
Yeah.
So that's going to be a difficult pill probably for some Liverpool fans to swallow. I don't know. I'd love to hear from Liverpool fans on this. Would you welcome him back? Because I think you're a better team. And ultimately, that's, I think, what it's about. Are we going to be better if this guy potentially came back? Again, how much that deal would cost the club and what the numbers would be, I would have no idea. But if it was a loan deal, if it was a loan fee coming out of Madrid back to Liverpool for a season, well, I think he improves you. I really do. But how welcome he would be, I mean, I think he should be welcomed back through the door, absolutely with open arms. But I don't know what the feeling would be like really on Merseyside on that.
03717 223344 Liverpool fans, let us know, would you have Trent Alexander-Arnold back at Anfield? Now, news coming out of West Ham this weekend. Vanessa Gold has confirmed that she's agreed to sell her stake in the club to a consortium led by the former Newcastle United co-owner Amanda Staveley, and that stake is a 25.1% holding of the football club. For more reaction to the news, let's welcome in a proper West Ham legend. It's a very good morning to their former striker, Tony Cotty. Morning, TC.
Morning, Tony.
Morning, Jeff. Morning, Andy.
Look, Tone, the Gold family selling 25% to Amanda Staveley. Is that good news or not? Will it change anything?
I don't know the answer to that, Jeff. I mean, there's been a lot of talk for many weeks now since the end of the season. We all know there were some issues surrounding David Sullivan. He stepped down as chairman. And then everyone was expecting Daniel Kretinsky to buy a percentage of Amanda's shares, of the Vanessa Gold shares. And that hasn't happened. I don't know why. There seems to be some sort of breakdown in communication with that one. And then it's not really a bolt out the blue, because I think Amanda Staveley she was spotted at the ground, she's been shown around, etc. So we knew she was in the background. But what it does mean, Jeff, it means that you've got Amanda Staveley. If Sullivan and Kretinsky don't take up the option of purchasing the shares, you're going to have her with a big shareholding, Daniel Kretinsky with a big shareholding, and David Sullivan with still the main shareholding. So it's all very complicated at the moment, but it needs to be sorted out, especially with the new season approaching.
Yeah, you do that. That does need to get sorted out, Tone, doesn't it? It really does. And again, I think until you get that sorted out, it's difficult to get everything underneath it to drop into place and work and function as a proper club.
Yeah, and the frustrating thing, Andy, is look, the fans have been so upbeat. I mean, listen, West Ham have been here before. You know, I've been a West Ham fan and player for 60 years. They've been up, they've been down, they've been up, they've been down. It's not unusual for West Ham to get relegated. But, you know, there was a real depression at the end of the season when we finally did get relegated. And then there was the upbeat feeling when, obviously, David Sullivan stepped down, Karen Brady's left the club. So there was real positiveness about the club. And now with this news, it just throws everything into sort of disarray again. So it's got to be sorted out. You're quite right, Andy. It needs to be sorted out. And that sort of ripples down, you know. If Amanda Staveley was to get the 25%, does she then do a full takeover? If she then does a full takeover, does she want the new manager, the existing manager? Does she want a new manager? There's all those things come into it. And, you know, the last thing you want at any football club is uncertainty.
Yeah. I mean, as it stands, David Sullivan obviously still the major shareholder, 38.8% of the shares. Is there any speculation about whether he will sell, whether he wants to sell his shareholding?
I think he was quoted, Jeff, as saying that he would try and wait until West Ham become a Premier League team again, well, which is all well and good, but that might take 5 years. Personally, I don't think it will, but it could take 5 years. So he's taking a bit of a chance with that. But what they have both got, Jeff, they've both got the option to buy their percentage of the 25% of the shares. In other words, David Sullivan can buy 38% of the 25%, and that would take him up to 49%, I think it makes him. So he would still be in play. And, there's so many variables that could happen with this. It's going to be very, very interesting to see how it pans out.
Yeah. Kept Jared Bowen, obviously, Tone. He committed his future to the club in order to try and get them back up, which was good because he's a player that obviously could have moved on. Others have left. So where do you see them? Obviously, they'll be absolutely amongst the favourites to bounce straight back. Never easy, but what are you seeing in your mind about what lies ahead?
Well, I think anything other than a playoff finish at worst, Andy, especially with it being, I think, it goes down to eighth this year, doesn't it? So anything outside of that would be, and just not on for West Ham. They've got to get it at least in the playoffs. Yes, they're amongst the favourites to come straight back up. But then you've still got like the likes of Wolves. West Ham are away at Burnley, who got relegated as well, the first game of the season. They've then got Charlton at home, then Watford away. London derbies, they're not going to be easy. And, a lot of these teams that are going to be playing West Ham, it's going to be their cup final.
Yeah.
They're going to London Stadium. West Ham have sold 45,000 season tickets, which is phenomenal for a championship club. But all that means is there's going to be a big crowd. You're playing at a big stadium, and the opposition will raise their game. Great news they've kept Jared Bowen. At the moment, they've kept Mavropanos, but there will be others going out. I think Wan-Bissaka will leave. I think Todibo will leave. Probably Jeff will leave. So, you're three. That's three of you. What was your back four really going? So, there's a lot needs to be sorted out quickly. The only way we'll know where West Ham are going to be is once that transfer window shuts and the players that have come in, then we can have a good look at the West Ham squad. Because as we know, at the moment, not one player's come through the door.
Yeah, and that's the problem. Freddie Potts, another one who's on the verge of leaving as well. TC?
Yeah, Jeff, I don't get it, Freddie Potts. I don't guess I might be a bit biased. I played with his dad and I want to see the academy players. Well, I don't get it. £10 million to Bruges, I think they're talking about. When he played in the Championship, 2 seasons ago, he was player of the year for Portsmouth.
Yeah.
He was player of the year for Wickham in League One. And, we're getting rid of a good young academy player. It doesn't make sense to me. All right, 10 million, you could argue that the club needs a bit of money to pay all the bills. I get that at the moment. But in the grand scale of things, you've got to keep your good academy boys. I was pleased to see Lewis Alford played at the weekend.
They've brought in something like 160 million already in transfers, so the 10 million, I think most Hammers fans will be absolutely with you.
Yes.
They wouldn't want to see Freddie Potts go.
Yeah, absolutely, Jeff. And plus the three others that I mentioned, the three defenders. So, West Ham might well have raised, well over £200 million by the time the season starts. At which point, why are you selling an academy player for 10 million? I don't get that one. I really don't.
No.
TC, brilliant. Thanks very much indeed.
Cheers,
care,
Jeff.
mate.
Cheers, Andy.
See you soon, pal. A lot of reaction to the question we're asking about Trent Alexander-Arnold.
Yeah.
And Leroy in Stalybridge says, morning, gentlemen. Yes, I'd love Trent to come back better than what we got. Should have gone to the World Cup. Excellent player. And both feet are ones. Mickey says, as a Liverpool supporter, yes, I'd take Trent back. I wouldn't want to pay more than the 10 million we got for him. Can't be held to ransom by Real Madrid. And Mutin also, I'd take Trent back on loan. Last season we missed him. Plus we didn't use Wirtz like we should have done.
No. I mean, Real Madrid have signed Denzel Dumfries, Jeff, from Inter, who would no doubt fit the profile a bit more for Jose Mourinho. They've got Valverde. They've got other players. I think Militao has even played in fullback positions over the years at Real Madrid. They've got plenty of cover in that sort of area. So if you're Trent, yes, he will, at this stage of a pre-season, he will want to think he's got every chance of starting and getting on with it. But he doesn't need another season like he had last time. That would have been a big disappointment to him. Secretly, he would have been a little hurt at the fact that it never happened, never really got going, had a few injury issues. Listen, I tell you, I think Liverpool should, if they could get any sort of deal done for him on a loan basis for a season, whatever those fees are nowadays, they're at 5 million and above, up to even 10 million. I wouldn't turn your nose up at that to get that boy back through the door, because he is top draw.
Emlyn, who's in Perth in Australia, says, I agree with Andy. I would take Trent back in a heartbeat. Frimpong is not a right back. Thanks to Tony Coddy, the former West Ham striker. Still to come on breakfast.
Breakfast preview on talkSPORT with Travis Perkins. Spend £100 or more with a Travis Perkins trade account and you could win a brand new Ford Ranger. T's and C's apply.
In around half an hour's time, we'll be joined by this Brighton legend.
Oh my word! This time he's gone for it! And he's found the top corner in spectacular style! And Solly March has made it Southampton 0, Brighton 3.
15 years Brighton as boy and man, really, including promotion to the Premier League. We'll be talking to Solly March about all things Brighton. We'll look at Robert De Zerbi at Spurs, Danny Welbeck moving to Chelsea, and what we could see him doing in terms of football next season as well. That's Solly March on The Breakfast Show at 9:15. And that was our breakfast preview with Travis Perkins.
Breakfast preview on talkSPORT with Travis Perkins. Spend £100 or more at any Travis Perkins Hire or Benchmarks branch as a trade account holder and you could win a brand new Ford Ranger. T's and C's apply.
The Asian Football Confederation in the last couple of hours have come out and condemned Gianni Infantino's proposals to sell off
very late condemnations, aren't they? They're all panicking.
Competitions. Well, they are. Obviously, UEFA have come out strongest by suggesting they would boycott all FIFA competitions, including the Men's and Women's World Cup, the Club World Cup. There's actually an under-20 Women's World Cup that's due to start in September, so we may find out if they'll go through with that threat very soon. UEFA's 55 member associations held an emergency meeting earlier this week, and as I say, they voted a boycott if FIFA proceeds with plans to sell stakes in its competitions to private investors. There was a statement released by FIFA, I think it was 4 o'clock this morning UK time, so we were all napping. They said nobody is selling football, but they did vow to continue with the controversial proposal to sell stakes in its competition to private investors. FIFA, in their statement, claimed the consultation process had been, quote, disrupted by incorrect media reports.
My answer to this is that everyone always screams about FIFA's a bit of a dictatorship, but it's actually a democracy whereby you still have to have all the nations vote for this through, Alex, right?
Yes.
So Infantino can't just force it through. It was never going to happen that way, and I think it's dead in the water now.
Well, I was just about to come on to that. So in order for this proposal to be passed, FIFA's 211 members would need to vote. Therefore, Infantino would need 106 votes in favour.
Yep.
UEFA and CONCACAF members combined make up 96 of those votes. The AFC makes up 47. So
that's how democracy works.
It's dead, basically.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. It is dead.
Good morning, it's 10 to 9. Monday, August the 3rd. This is talkSPORT Breakfast with Arnold Clark. The perfect time to upgrade your car. Get 2 years free servicing when you buy a used car in the upgrade event. Check it out online. I'm Jeff Stelling Andy Townsend is with me. Trent Alexander-Arnold back to Anfield. Andy lit the blue touch paper before the break. He'll be competing for the right back spot with Denzel Dumfries in Spain next season. So let's bring in Sean, the Liverpool fan. Morning, Sean.
Morning, Sean.
Yeah, morning, gents. Great show as usual.
Thank you, mate.
Just before I crack on, I've got apologies to make to Andy Townsend.
Oh dear.
When I was about 20 years old, so that's about 35 years ago, you were at Norwich, fella, and I was apparently your doppelganger. Thick, dark, thick,
you lucky boy, Sean.
Thick, dark, curly hair, crooked septum with a Roman nose. I'll leave it there, sir.
So, Sean, look, what have you? Trent, would you take him back given the chance?
Me, personally, I'm really concerned about this transfer window. I'd have him back in the blink of an eye. I know he's still not a stereotypical right back, but let's look at what we got. Bradley, real concerns about his long-term career, poor guy. Gomez, let's be honest, I love Joe, but fragile as glass. Frimpong has never been a right back. When he was with Celtic, he was a wing back. When he was with Leverkusen, he's not a right back. I'd have Trent back in the blink of an eye. And now, with Mo gone, I'd push Frimpong up on the right wing. But I'd just be interested. I'd have him back. I know it would divide the Liverpool fans, but it's not the FSG model.
Yeah.
You know, they're American. Their pride would get in the way. They're not going to let him go for a song and then pay big fees. And for the Liverpool fans, the hola, me llamo Trent Alexander-Arnold, me hablo un poquito español, viva el blanco, that ain't going to cut it. But
I agree with you.
Brilliant. Hasta la vista, Sean. Thanks very much indeed, mate. So, look, we've got to move on. Commonwealth Games officially come to an end. It wasn't without controversy. English boxer Demeji Shitu was forced to settle for silver against India's Ankush Pangal after being docked points for holding, despite getting no prior warnings from the referee. Look, afterwards, Richie Woodall, who was ringside, described the decision as shocking, terrible, said Shitu was totally robbed. For more on this, we can hear from the man himself. I'm delighted to say Demeji Shitu joins us right now. Good morning to you, Demeji.
Good morning, how are you?
Yeah, very good, thanks, mate. Look, you were pretty philosophical after the fight. You've had a bit of time to reflect now. You've read what people have said about it. What are your feelings now?
Firstly, I'm just very grateful to go out there and, you know, represent the country in the Commonwealth Games. I've watched the fight back and I do see why people have their opinions on it. At the end of the day, boxing's an opinionated sport. Some people might favour one style of boxing, other people might favour another style of boxing. And yeah, that's just where my headspace is at the minute.
Do you know?
Especially with the... Sorry, say again, sorry?
I was going to say, Djemi, do you actually know, obviously before you step into the ring, you know who the referee, you know where the referees are from, and as you say, they've all got a different interpretation of how they see boxing and what they're looking for. And does that make you feel like you have to alter what you do in a way or not?
Not really, because before you, literally, you find out where the ref is from, literally right before they announce you to get into the ring. That's where you find out who, like, where the ref is from, and you haven't really got time to, I've got to box this way, I've got to do this. You just got to go in there and follow the rules and box how you box, and yeah.
I mean, look, you were incredibly respectful after the fight, you know, and you said whatever the referee says goes, but you were twice docked a point, and without warning. Did you feel you deserved those punishments?
At the end of the day, personally speaking, I thought maybe, yeah, it could have been a bit harsh, but at the end of the day, like I said before, if the ref feels like the points need to be deducted, then fair enough. At the end of the day, the ref controls the fight. Me sitting here complaining and making a fuss of isn't going to change the result. You know, it does hurt. Like, I could have come back with a gold medal, or some people might say, oh, if the points didn't get deducted, it would have changed a lot of things, but it's nothing you can do now. It's all in the past, I guess.
Sure. And what's in the future for you now? Where do you go from here?
Well, in about 5 or 6 weeks' time, we've got another tournament in September. That's for the European Championship. So that's the next tournament. So gonna have a few days rest, and then before you know it, back to training, back to get into it, and yeah.
Great stuff. Great stuff.
Hey, well, look, Jamie, you walk away with the silver medal, which you should be proud of. And actually, you should also be proud of your attitude as well. Because proper sportsmanship, mate,
I agree with that.
Is absolutely fantastic. So, so congratulations.
Well done, pal.
Cheers. Thank you very much.
Silver medal winning boxer at the Commonwealth Games.
It's true, because in this day and age, you could pile in and go crazy about wanting this and wanting that and accusing everyone of everything. You can tell there's a really nice guy who's just, to quote a boxing term, he just took it on the chin and he's moving on, and good for him.
Yeah. I mean, look, it happens not just in tournaments like this, not just the Commonwealth Games. It happens professionally as well. That judges and referees get things horribly wrong, and it seems, and I didn't see the fight.
No,
but it seems like that's the case here again. I don't know about you, Andy. There's been a number of suggestions that maybe AI or some form of AI.
Yeah, some sort of technology.
I'd be very against that.
Me too. And again, I think with technology and particularly AI, Jeff, we all are seeing it gradually entering all of our everyday lives. And but there are certain things and certain areas where I think are best well left alone. And I think in sport and certainly in terms of refereeing and stuff like that, I think that's an area that I'd like to just see, the way it's currently going. I wouldn't want to see any dramatic changes to that.
Yeah. Stephen has just texted, he said, what a pro.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Some breaking news. I'll tell you what, we're on a roll. After the Welsh FA officially withdrew its support for FIFA, the English FA has now officially withdrawn its support for FIFA as well. More on that shortly.
Let's bring in Terry Gibson, Spanish football expert. Terry, always good to speak to you. Lots of news stories over in Spain at the moment. Let's start with that Marcus Rashford farewell post to Barcelona. Looks like his hopes of return to the Camp Nou are now very much over.
Yes, it does, and I think it was a blow to him when Anthony Gordon. It must have been kind of awkward when the England team met up for the World Cup when Anthony Gordon had already completed his move to Barcelona. Marcus Rashford's future was hanging in the air. And then they signed Karim Adeyemi. So it's it's not going to happen now for Marcus Rashford. I have to be honest, I'm really surprised. I thought it was a good value in terms of the transfer fee, and I thought his form last season was as good as you would expect. And he couldn't have done any more. He scored some important goals. He actually effectively got the goal that won them the league title. He was popular with his teammates and popular with the fans. So I'm surprised. Even when Anthony Gordon signed, I still thought there was a possibility that Rashford would still go, but the signing of Adeyemi has put a stop to that.
Is it just wages? Because obviously Anthony Gordon would command a much lower weekly salary than Rashford.
But he was £80 million. Rashford was 26.
Yeah.
So 26 million, slightly difference in their ages as well. People are forgetting they've got Rafinha that plays there as well. So the problem positions that everyone thought they had, and they still have, are centre forward, Lewandowski leaving the club, and they should have bought a better centre back than what they currently have.
Cherries to the tractor boys, the Eagles to the Seagulls. Gunners, Bees, Hammers and Magpies. Premier League teams have got a load of crazy nicknames. Ever wondered where they came from? Let's start with Everton. They're dubbed the Toffees, but why? Well, because when the club was formed, just down the road there were two local toffee shops. Ye Ancient Everton Toffee House and Mother Noblet's Toffee Shop were big fan favourites. Next, they say if you can't beat 'em, join 'em, and that's exactly what Ipswich Town did when it came to their nickname. The term Tractor Boys used to be chanted by their opponents as a way of putting the team down for their farming background. But during one game back in the late 90s, Ipswich were 1-0 up and they decided to flip the script. 1-0 to the Tractor Boys, they sang, and a new nickname was born. Let's head to Leicester, famous for more than just a red, well, orangey cheese and Jamie Vardy. Leicestershire is also the birthplace of fox hunting, hence the Foxes. Next up, turns out apples are not the only fruit that don't fall far from the tree. Bournemouth's nickname, the Cherries, comes from the fact the club's stadium was originally built right next to a bunch of cherry orchards. This next story actually involves two club nicknames. It started with Crystal Palace. They were having an absolute nightmare run back in the early 70s. They'd been relegated after a terrible spell and manager Malcolm Allison decided enough was enough. He wanted a new nickname, something strong, fast and destined for success. Something exactly like an eagle. But there's more to this one. Brighton were in search of a nickname too, and Palace finally gave them what they needed. In a heated match between the two back in 1976, Palace fans began chanting, "Eagles, Eagles." And some clever Brighton fans came up with the perfect reply, "Seagulls, Seagulls." Not all club nicknames have a crazy story though. Take the Gunners. That just comes from the fact a group of munitions workers in the Royal Arsenal factory in Woolwich set up the club in 1886. On the flip side, some nicknames seem simple, but there's a bit more to them, like West Ham. The Hammers is actually nothing to do with the ham part of the name. It comes from the fact the club used to be called Thames Ironworks FC and was made up of workmen and shipbuilders. So next time the away end's chanting their crazy nickname, you'll now know exactly where it came from.
Good morning, 4 minutes past 9, Monday, August the 3rd. This is talkSPORT. Breakfast with me, Jeff Stelling and Andy Townsend. And Arnold Clark's deal drop. Get the new car feeling without the new car price. Discover some of their biggest savings and find your next car today. Between now and 10 o'clock, a lot of people looking forward to hearing from Solly March, the former Brighton star. He's on around 9:15 talking about his future. Danny Welbeck, Roberto De Zerbi as well. Now, though, another football association from these shores, two of them now, has withdrawn its support for FIFA. Let's bring in the talkSPORT reporter, Ben Jacobs, for more. Ben, tell us about what's been happening.
Yeah, so the English FA will write to FIFA and withdraw their support formally for Gianni Infantino, which was given before the World Cup. Now, over 40 UEFA member federations had backed Gianni Infantino before a lot of the World Cup-related sagas and, of course, FIFA Forward Enterprise as well, the subsidiary body that came and went pretty much as quick as the European Super League. Last night, the Welsh FA were the first from UEFA to remove the support, and they say the recent failures in good governance, process, leadership, values, stakeholder management, communications and sound judgment have led us to a position position where Mr. Infantino has lost the confidence of the Football Association of Wales. And now the English FA are set to follow suit. And my expectation is we may get official confirmation of that later today. And these are not just statements. FIFA need to be informed in writing. So Gianni Infantino is now doing the maths, and Alexander Schäferin is currently pushing for all UEFA members that have backed Gianni Infantino to remove their support this week.
Right, so we expect a host of letters from every UEFA FA then, Dewey, going into FIFA, withdrawing their support.
Yeah, and that's up to 55 votes, although we should point out some, such as Germany, never backed him in the first place, which is where the number of 40 plus comes from. But in essence, Gianni Infantino and potentially other candidates are doing the maths. Victor Montagliani, the CONCACAF president, is a viable contender, and CONCACAF are aligned with UEFA. So in theory, if he stood against Infantino, that might be up to 96 votes. And Infantino similarly has been backed by the likes of Qatar, Morocco, Sri Lanka, and a few other member federations have also come out and said they support him, and he'll have CAF. So one of the reasons why Infantino hasn't yet stood down is because behind the scenes, he'll be manoeuvring to understand how many votes he's still got, which is why these removals are highly significant, because it takes the votes off his tally. And if the number gets to that magic total of 106, a majority from the 211 members, then Infantino may realise even if he wants to stand again, he's being cornered. And as soon as he loses that majority, when he does that internal maths, he may be forced to walk away. And if he doesn't, the next step could be a vote of no confidence.
Ben, is there a name? Has anyone got a name of someone that is considered a suitable candidate potentially to replace Infantino?
Yeah, Victor Montagliani, as I said, the CONCACAF president, is seen as the most viable contender because he's already had long-term aspirations to stand.
Right.
He wanted to focus on CONCACAF re-election next year, but now could be persuaded. And because he's Canadian and has Italian heritage and is well respected within UEFA, it's more viable to defeat Infantino if he insists on standing with a candidate from outside of Europe, and he would garner a fair amount of support. Then you have Nasser Al-Khelaifi, PSG president. Sources close to him insist he has, quote, zero ambition to stand, and yet a lot of federations such as Germany, Spain, Belgium, Poland, Sweden, Norway, these have all told me through sourcing that they would support Al-Khelaifi if he changes his mind. Alexander Schäferin is seen as unlikely. Matthias Grafstrom, the General Secretary of FIFA, is highly regarded. And if Infantino quits now, he will play a role in the handover. And again, could be another contender because he was blindsided by these FFE plans. So there's plenty of names out there. Dariusz Miodowski, but he's seen as somebody maybe that could more provoke debate than necessarily win outright, but he's very close to Nasser Al-Khelaifi and again respected within the game. So it will not be challenging to find a candidate, but there needs to be consensus, because if more than one stands, you fragment the vote. And if Infantino remains on the ballot, that may benefit him. So my expectation is UEFA and CONCACAF are prepared to unite, back one candidate, but hope in the meantime that these withdrawals of votes and or a potential vote of no confidence forces Infantino to walk before he's pushed.
Ben, thank you so much.
Thanks, Ben.
Right, let's bring in someone now who never shied away from a battle when it came to taking on FIFA. He chaired the FA during the Sepp Blatter days. David Bernstein joins us now. Morning to you, David.
Good morning, Jeff.
Look, David, you know just how tough it is to get rid of a head of FIFA. Is the groundswell of feeling against him enough, do you think, to rid us of Gianni Infantino?
Well, I think so. I think he's a sort of a dead man. I describe him as a dead man staggering, as opposed to walking. I think so, but I think, yeah, I was very delighted that UEFA took such a tough stand and put a red line that they would not participate in the World Cup unless this proposal was withdrawn. I think they should extend that and say they would not play in the World Cup if Infantino continues as president. I think the one is sort of so close to the other that I think to continue that threat is a good thing. And I also think that the English FA, who I think have handled it pretty well so far, should be taking a lead on this. I'm a little disappointed that Wales came out before we did. We're by far the largest, most prestigious FA in the UK, and I think we should be taking a lead. But I think UEFA should keep the pressure, maximum pressure on now, and the same criteria really apply about the World Cup, whether it's the proposal being withdrawn or Infantino going.
Do you think it'll need literally something as major as that, the threat to boycott the World Cup? Because Infantino himself, David, as you know, he's shown no sign of standing down so far, and you feel that such is his vanity, such is his lack of self-awareness, that he may feel he can cling on.
Well, you're right. I mean, he's one of those who'll be dragged away, sort of screaming, he's in denial from this. But I mean, he has to go. His credibility is completely shot. Key people, including Kevin Lamour, his right-hand man, have resigned and criticised him. His credibility is gone, and FIFA needs a major reorganisation, which I'll come to in a moment, because I don't, your reporter's analysis just now of the potential field of candidates is not something I totally agree with, because I believe that FIFA needs an independent chair, someone probably who understands football but is from outside football, not another of these sort of presidents of associations and so on, because you're in danger, I think, of carrying on the problem from Blatter to Infantino to another of the same sort.
Yeah, interesting point. So somebody from outside of football. Look, David, there's been some criticism of Arsene Wenger for his silence during the course of this. Do you believe he had a responsibility to speak out, or is that silence understandable?
I don't want to comment on Arsene Wenger. I've got a very high opinion of Arsene, but for all sorts of reasons, including he helped me enormously when I was chair of Manchester City. He gave me some fantastic advice. I think he's a great guy. I don't know the dynamics of what's going on with FIFA and Arsene, so no comment on that.
I would have thought, David, if there were any more from inside FIFA themselves, any more from inside that organisation that started to now, again, step down in support of the other two. You mentioned Kevin Lamour, and I think there was one other a few days ago as well.
Yep.
Any more stepping outside from the corridors of FIFA to absolutely join this growing disgruntled list? I mean, how can he keep going? How can he continue in his post if everybody outside of the building and within have lost total faith?
No, absolutely. I mean, you say the pressure from within is great. The pressure from outside football is great. And also what it requires, you've often seen that what really finishes these people off is when sponsors turn against them and threaten, because money sort of governs everything in the end, unfortunately. And if sponsors threaten to withdraw because they're being connected with a tarnished brand, which I think FIFA is at the moment, that often will bring things trouble. But one way or another, I'm sure he will go. I can't quite say when, and whether he'll resign or be voted no confidence, or he'll get to I hope it doesn't get to next year's election, because that's much too late. And that's a long way away, and that needs to be resolved before then.
David, thank you so much. I'm sure your idea that following on from Blatter and Infantino, your idea of an independent chair would garner a lot of support.
Sure,
a lot of support.
Thanks, David.
Thanks once again, David.
Pleasure, Jeff. Good to speak to you.
You too. The former chairman of the FA in Manchester City, David Bernstein, with us there. And you do wonder, don't you, Andy, because without inferring anything about current members of FIFA who might take the place of Infantino, you have to look. Blatter, we all celebrated when Gianni Infantino came in. We're all celebrating now because we think he might be leaving. You can't risk following the same pattern.
Absolutely. No, 100%. I think it's vitally important now that they re-establish their credibility and that they make sure they go through whatever process they're about to, they go through it properly and absolutely get the right result and the right individual at the head of the game once more. That is absolutely crucial, because it's not often you see FIFA's name kind of being dragged across front and back pages like we've seen recently, and that's got to stop. That will have to stop, and I think that will be crucial within there now, that they make sure they get the right person.
Thanks very much indeed, mate. Coming up, we're joined live on the show by the Brighton and Hove Albion legend, Solly March.
it's an amazing story, actually. It's almost a forgotten man. This is about Mykhailo Mudryk, who has been allowed to come back to football immediately for Chelsea. So you'll remember that this is a man who had a 4-year ban handed down to him for breaching anti-doping rules. He's not played since November 2024 after what was described as an adverse finding of meldonium, which is a banned substance in his system. He appealed against that sentence to the Court of Arbitration for Sport, who have today said that because he accepted breaking anti-doping rules, they have agreed that the time served already is enough of a punishment. So Mykhailo Mudryk is available to play for Chelsea with immediate effect.
Can he even still play football? Is he good enough? He's not played football for 3 years.
Nearly 2 years. Well, Chelsea have released quite a long statement today, obviously welcoming the decision. They've talked about what a difficult period of time it has been for Mykhailo Mudryk. And I think this is the important paragraph here in the statement. We welcome the acknowledgement that advances in the applicable scientific reporting standards for more reliable testing mean that had Misha's sample been analysed under today's technical requirements, it would not have been reported as a positive test and no anti-doping rule violation would have resulted. That is an important part of the context surrounding the agreed resolution and allows everyone involved to move forward. Good morning, it's almost 9:20. It's Monday, August the 3rd. This is talkSPORT Breakfast with Jeff Stelling and Andy Townsend. And I'm delighted to say that joining us next is this Brighton legend.
Oh, gets the shot away, and he finds the bottom corner. Solly March, who scored at Selhurst Park, scores in this big grudge match again.
Again it's Solly March, and again it's a Brighton goal. 4-0 to Solly March and Brighton.
Solly is completely ready to play national team.
What about Solly March? He can play as a right back, can't he? He can play on the left-hand side as a free, he can play as a centre midfield player.
Just wondered sort of how many of those players were able to step it up and be consistent Premier League players. Well, he's certainly done that.
It's gone in! I don't believe it! Solly March is sending us to extra time!
Solly is a fantastic player, a fantastic guy, and we are proud of him. One of the best players in our team.
Yeah, 15 years at Brighton as man and boy, really. I'm delighted to say joining us now is Solly March. Morning to you, Solly.
Hi, Solly.
Morning, Jeff. Andy, how are you both? Good?
Yeah, good, mate. But more importantly, let's talk about how you are, because 15 years at a club, 300 Brighton appearances. You had those terrible injuries in the last couple of seasons. What's your situation now going into a new season? Where are you in terms of finding a new club?
Yeah, it's a strange situation for me. Obviously, never been in this situation before. Always been at Brighton, and yeah, it's a bit of the unknown, really. Not having a club, and yeah, just waiting for the right opportunity, really. But I'm fit, which is the main thing for me. I'm feeling good, so yeah, just waiting for the right opportunity, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm amazed, Solly, that a player with your experience, your ability, and what you know about Premier League football, and even if it was I'm sure you'd consider options from a team in the Championship, a top team, whatever. I'm amazed that you still find yourself a few weeks before everything really gets going, and you're still looking. I'm sure you've had stuff come at you that you felt probably wasn't right for you.
Yeah, there's been a few things, of course, there always is, like stuff abroad, which right now probably not for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I said, I think it's just the right opportunity and the right thing for me at this stage in my career, and wanting to get minutes and wanting to play. For me personally, I still want to play in the Premier League. I definitely think I can do that. So maybe I've got to be patient. I don't know, but it's difficult. You get itchy feet. You're at home alone, training on your own. So yeah, it's difficult. It's a strange, weird one. Yeah.
Yeah. Jeff, sorry, just one. Solly, you've always been very versatile, and you're always the sort of player that you can ply your trade in a number of positions. Where do you, at this point of your career now, where would you like to finish your career playing? What position?
Yeah, I think I've always said my favourite's on the right wing, as a front three, or even as a right midfielder playing high. But yeah, like you say, I can play very many positions. On the left, on the right. I started my career on the left, so it's comfortable for me. But like you say, I can play wing back, so it's just waiting. But yeah, I'm fit. That's the main thing. I'm fit and ready to go and waiting for the right thing to come up. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I saw you posting some pictures of you training in Qatar. And of course, that leads to speculation you might be going abroad. But it's interesting to hear you saying that's not really what you want to do. I mean, you're only 32. Only 32. Do us the sales pitch. Tell us what you've got to offer Premier League managers.
I think I can, like you say, I can play many positions. I think I've got quality that maybe still a lot of teams in the Premier League don't have, and I think the experience helping teams sort of. I don't know. You know what I mean? When you're old, you've played 300 games. You know what it's like, and you can help young players coming up and advise them. But yeah, I still think I've got the quality. I still think a pre-season is big for me, and it's big the way I've trained. And I'm feeling good now, the best I have in 2 years. So yeah, I'm just waiting for the right chance, and yeah, I think patience is the key at this moment.
And Fabian Hürzeler, between those injuries, don't want to go on about the injury, between those injuries, Fabian Hürzeler went public and he said, can't wait to have Solly back because he's a top Premier League player. So, it's great to have your manager speaking out for you in that sense.
Yeah, for sure it is. I think, it was a difficult one. I think, the club sort of ummed and ahed, and I thought I was going to get a contract, if I'm honest, but that didn't happen. They're going in a different direction now. I think you can see that. So, I think they want to have young players that are going to be there for many years. So, yeah, I think it is what it is, but I'm ready to go. I'm going to train at the club now and use the pitches. So, yeah, they're being good to me. So it's helping me out a lot, yeah.
Oh, that's great. What about the guys you've worked with there? You've worked with some great players, Solly, and you've seen plenty come and go. In such is the nature of Brighton. You've seen a lot of good players come, make their careers, improve themselves and move on. What about those coaches that you work with? Any one of those in particular that you really enjoyed working with?
Yeah, I think you're going to know the answer to that one. Yeah, De Zerbi, incredible. I can't put into words how good he was for me personally and the club at that time. As a coach, as a person, sort of just installing belief in the team. Me personally, and just the way he coaches and the passion he has, and he lives and breathes the game. I don't think he goes a minute throughout the day where he doesn't think about a training session, the next game. It's in his blood. Yeah, he's incredible. So yeah, I can't speak highly enough of him.
Yeah. And a big move for Danny Welbeck as well. You think he can become an important player at Chelsea?
Yeah, it obviously probably was unexpected for everyone, but I think for me personally, I think it's what Chelsea need. I think it will help them with him and Henderson going in, and the experience. I think it's one thing they've lacked over the last few years. They've had a lot of young players, young talented players, and I think it's exactly what they need. Someone who's going to help the dressing room, and obviously Welbs is well known to be incredible in the dressing room, helping young players, helping them develop, helping the team. I guess on the training pitch, demanding the levels every day. So I think he'll do really well for them. I really do, and I think as well. I think he'll want to go and play. I think he'll want to get minutes because I think he can still score goals like you've seen last season. So yeah, I think it's a good move for everyone.
And Solly, what's the secret that Brighton do in terms of the way they acquire players, and because usually you continually sell your best players, eventually it catches up with you, and everybody's kind of waiting, but possibly for that to happen to Brighton, but it never looks like happening. It hasn't yet, and what is it that they do so differently, maybe to others?
Honestly, I don't know. It's quite secretive, if I'm honest. The chairman has his data and he has his statistics, and I think it's kept very secret and private. But the way he does it and how he manages to buy players on the cheap from different countries and develop them into 50, 60, 70 million pound players. It's incredible. But I don't know really what it is. It's some database system, but the success with it's been incredible. So yeah.
Solly, look, a lot of love for you on text at the moment. Joe says, ask Solly if he's received an offer from Wolves, please. Stuart says, morning lads, ask Solly if he'd like to go and do a job at Rangers on the wing. Griff says, Solly to West Ham be a great fit. Gaz, who's a Celtic fan, says, we need wingers. Ask Solly if he'd fancy coming to Celtic for a year or two. Steve says, Wrexham would have him tomorrow. I mean, look, mate, if it was down to the listeners, they'd all be having you literally tomorrow. Yeah. So thanks for joining us, Solly. Good luck, mate.
Thank you.
Look forward to seeing you in the Premier League next season.
Yes.
I hope so. Cheers, guys. Take care. Thank you.
Solly March. I mean, he wouldn't let anyone down. You know what a job that he can do.
And that versatility that he spoke about, when he says, look, I can play off the left, I can play on the right, I can play in a back four, back five, higher up the field. As he said, when I said to him, what position would you like to play? I'd like to play up front of three on the right. You got someone that can put their hand to that many positions. There has to be a club out there that need that sort of versatility and can call on someone like that. Because you're right, he's you can just tell. And I'm glad that he's over his injuries. And of course, that you have to convince people that you can stay fit and that you are ready to go full slog into a campaign. But can't doubt his ability and his commitment to it. He's been a fabulous servant for Brighton.
I'm glad he wants to stay in the UK as well. And by the way, we've heard Rangers, Celtic fans and things like that. Here's an interesting one. Liam says, Solly for Newcastle United. Now that... Yeah. I could see that.
I could see that. I absolutely could see that again because of the fact that he can put his hand to a number of positions. And Jeff, the important part with those versatile players, those that like they give themselves selflessly in that respect.
Yeah.
Lots of players are asked to play out of position, and it's with a frown, and it's with the hump, and it's with a moan and a groan. But he always struck you as one of those boys. Yes, boss, I'll do that. I can do that position this weekend. Don't worry, I'll get it sorted. And then you need that.
Yeah. I think it's a cliche, but model pro.
Yeah.
That's the term that applies to Solly March. And we do wish him well, and we do thank him for joining us this morning, that is for sure. Coming up, we'll find out if there's any basis to the rumours that Manchester United could be interested in Miles Lewis-Skelly.
Liverpool are set to place an opening bid for Bradley Barcola, but what PSG want and what Liverpool are willing to offer at the moment seems quite far away.
Yeah, there's a goal for valuation, but that's normal. PSG's starting position is £145 million. And my information is that in terms of the fixed fee, Liverpool are looking at roughly 80 million, maybe some add-ons on top. But that's the starting point. And knowing this is going to be a difficult negotiation because of PSG's starting position and the fact that they haven't signed Yan Diomande, Liverpool might need to be patient. And my expectation is it might run a similar course to Alexander Isak. And by that, I don't mean the player will agitate and go on strike. But what I do mean is with Alexander Isak, Liverpool placed what they thought was a fair offer early. When it was rejected, they waited until right towards the end of the window and the deal got done in the final hours. And you may note that Newcastle went from not for sale to 125 million, and somewhere in the middle, they were asking for 150 million about 3 weeks before the deal got done. So PSG's starting position, 145, very normal in deals for that to come down by 20 to 25 million. If Liverpool are prepared to go up by 10 or 15 million, suddenly the parties are not that far apart. So the first bid likely testing the water, and then we'll understand whether PSG are grandstanding or they genuinely believe that they can get over £20 million more than the deal that saw Morgan Rogers leave Aston Villa for Chelsea at 117 million.
Time for another one of those what-if sliding doors moments from the world of football. In 2010, Sam Allardyce's Blackburn Rovers were plodding along in the Premier League, never really in danger of relegation, but not sharp enough in front of goal to challenge for a European place. The club's then head of recruitment, Martin Glover, was alerted to a Polish striker at Lech Poznan, who'd scored 21 goals in 34 games. His name, Robert Lewandowski. Glover and Allardyce flew to Poland to watch the 21-year-old, and they liked what they saw. Conversations were had, and all that remained was for Lewandowski to fly to England to have a look around and talk Turkey. However, a once-in-a-blue-moon geological incident had other ideas. After 187 years of dormancy, the Eyjafjallajökull volcano in Iceland erupted, causing flights across Europe to be grounded for nigh on a month. That meant that Lewandowski never made it to Ewood Park, and Borussia Dortmund beat Blackburn to his signature. He'd go on to win 10 Bundesligas and 1 La Liga at various clubs. Just imagine that sort of impact on Blackburn's history, Sam Allardyce's CV, and the shape of English football itself.
Good morning, this is talkSPORT Breakfast with me, Jeff Stelling Andy Townsend and Arnold Clark. It's the perfect time to upgrade your car. Get 2 years free servicing when you buy a used car in the upgrade event. Check it out online. Everyone wants a bit of Solly March. Hi, my name is Lennon. I think Solly March would suit Everton. He's just what we need. Right now, it's time for a bit of this.
Rookies Roundup, right here every day. Rookies Roundup, which players are on their way. If an agent's got a story.
Hello, Alex Crook. What you got for me?
Rookie gets it first.
Yeehaw, cowboy! There's a snake in my boot.
Yeah, talkSPORT's chief football correspondent Alex Crook joins us in the studio.
Jeff, before you get into transfers, what we really want to know is how much Crookie actually won after how many winners at Goodwood?
16 out of 40, which is not bad going.
16 winners.
At a meeting like that, it's incredible. It's incredible.
Correct, and I'm sure there was plenty of that going on there.
Yeah, don't worry, the missus has already started to spend it.
Yeah, well, you could afford to buy Miles Lewis-Skelly with that money, couldn't you? But will he go to Manchester United? Arsenal won't sell Lewis-Skelly, will they?
I think they're reluctant, and I think they're reluctant particularly when you look at the end of last season when they obviously moved him from left back into midfield, which is his preferred position, and he did really well there, didn't he? To such an extent, he started the Champions League final. I can see why he appeals to United because they need a midfielder. They also want a bit of left-back cover for Luke Shaw. So actually, Miles Lewis-Skelly ticks both of those boxes. But yeah, I think Arsenal would be reluctant, but it's not been completely ruled out because obviously they're trying to revamp their squad and that means they may need to sell players, but certainly not top of their agenda is to get rid of Lewis-Skelly.
So the Lewis Hall one, potentially to Manchester United, did that ever really gain any momentum or not, Crookie?
I think he's starting to gain momentum. I mean, I first wrote about this on my notebook on the talkSPORT website in the spring. And from what I was told then, Lewis Hall would be keen to make the move, sees Manchester United as a step up. Obviously now the chance to play Champions League football next season as well. Again, Newcastle ideally wouldn't want to sell, but I think if United were prepared to pay in the region of £60 million, then the owners would have a decision to make.
Well, I'm sure Lewis Hall is watching everybody else go out the exit door as well. So Chelsea have brought in Danny Welbeck, amongst others, many others. Where does that leave Liam Delap? Does he still have a future at Chelsea? I've seen he's been linked, obviously, Newcastle 11. I've also seen him linked maybe with a move to Brighton.
Yeah, I think what's interesting there is neither Brighton or Chelsea were prepared to divulge the Danny Welbeck transfer fee. So that just sparked something in the back of my mind. Is there maybe a Chelsea player heading in the opposite direction? And they are a bit short of firepower. I know they've got Evan Ferguson back now, Brighton, but he didn't have a brilliant spell at Roma. His career seems to have fallen by the wayside a little bit. Jorginho Ruter isn't really a number 9. So I think they are in need of a striker. And I think Liam Delap is in need of a change of scenery. 1 goal in 28 Premier League games. I think both him and Nicholas Jackson are surplus to requirements at Stamford Bridge. Everton were keen last summer. I think David Moyes retains the interest in Liam Delap. So there could be a bit of a battle for his signature, but I do expect him to go between now and the end of the window.
Yeah. I totally agree, Jeff. I think that Liam Delap needs to move on, needs to get back playing regular, find his confidence again, and use the attributes. He's a big, strong, powerful centre forward at Chelsea. The fit never looked like it was going to work almost from day one.
And he never really got going there, did he?
No, he didn't. He didn't, Crookie. And so he needs to move on now and get himself going again, I think.
Yeah, I mean, he needs game time, that's for sure. And it's hard to see him getting it at Chelsea, especially bearing in mind they've got no European football as well. Let's move on to Curtis Jones. Look, not all seems happy at Liverpool at the moment. We've all seen the pictures of Curtis Jones involved in sort of kerfuffles with his teammates and so on. Is a move to probably Inter, is it an inevitability?
I wouldn't say an inevitability because Liverpool have got a certain valuation and Inter have made 3 verbal bids now that have not got anywhere near that valuation.
What is it, Crookie? What's his
I think they're looking for £40 million, ideally, for an England international, obviously a Premier League winner a couple of seasons ago. But I think when this interest from Inter first emerged way back in January, Curtis Jones' head has been turned a little bit. Obviously, he's not a regular at Liverpool. He sees that European Championships on the horizon in a couple of years' time and probably wants to go out and play. And I think maybe that was the cause of his sort of outburst when he wasn't given the captain's armband in that friendly and he got into a spat with Dominic Szoboszlai, which isn't a great look and not great for Andoni Iraola fresh through the door either. So, yeah, I think there is every chance that he goes, but this is one that I think might rumble on for a few more weeks yet.
Yeah. Jeff and I were just talking, Crookie, about Trent. Is there, is that totally out of the question, the possibility of Trent returning to Liverpool in some sort of loan deal or whatever?
I can't see it. I can't see it. He actually finished the season quite well with Real Madrid.
But they've just signed Denzel Dumfries, haven't they, out there? They've paid a lot of money for him.
Trent's a better player than Dumfries, isn't he?
Well, they're different players. They're very different. Trent with the ball, yes, 100%. Yeah. Trent without the ball, running up and down. Dumfries would beat him all day long. But, and you wonder whether Jose's profile, the sort of player he wants, would suit Denzel Dumfries a bit more. I don't know, but
I think the one that's more likely to come back to Liverpool, and I've always felt he probably would come back at some point, is Jarell Quansah, because they've got a buyback option in the deal with Leverkusen. So that could be one to keep an eye on, because, of course, they are struggling a little bit at the heart of defence.
Yeah, no, there's certainly one deal that was done, Chelsea signing Valentin Barco. So They don't care about popularity.
No, they don't. With his antics after the...
and the fact Enzo Fernandez is there as well, you know.
Yeah. I mean, does that suggest that Enzo Fernandez is likely to stay now that he's got his mate from the Argentinian team in the dressing room?
Who knows? Look, he might do. I think a lot of the talk around Enzo's gone a little quiet, hasn't it, Crookie, at the moment? It has, post-World Cup. But Barco, again, is a very talented player. I've seen a couple of glimpses of him in the summer and thought, he looks more than capable. So we'll see how he fares at Chelsea.
Yeah. I mean, did less than nothing at Brighton, did he?
No,
didn't do nothing there. No, you're right.
I want to give Hull an honourable mention as well, because they're getting busy in the transfer market. Lucas Harrington, young Australian defender, had a decent World Cup, £18 million fee agreed for him. We're expecting them to announce the signing of the Olympiacos goalkeeper, Konstantis Zalakis today. That's a £17 million deal. Noble Mendy, another centre-back, is coming in, and they're still in talks with Villa for Leon Bailey. We could see a whole new team almost at Hull.
Giving it a go, which is good to see. Look, you mentioned goalkeepers. We were just talking about James Trafford earlier in the show. Will he end up at Leeds?
Yeah, that's done. In fact, there's a suggestion his medical will take place this week. £40 million fee. Decent wages as well, more than Newcastle were prepared to pay, and I think this is a great signing for Leeds.
I agree.
James Trafford, speaking to people who work with him, has an incredible confidence, almost bordering on arrogance. I think he genuinely believes that by the time the Euros come around in 2 years' time, he could be the England number one.
Yeah. Oh, good for him. Change your mind about 16th, Andy?
I'll tell you what, Jeff, I'll go 14th on the back. It's going up a little bit, but look, good luck to him. I agree, Crookie. He's a very, very capable young goalkeeper.
Bit hard done by at Man City.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Well, he comes through the door and then, 5 minutes later, Donnarumma's signed, it's
doesn't
just,
help, does it?
Nightmare for him. Crookie, thanks very much indeed.
Thanks, Alex.
talkSPORT's chief football correspondent, Alex Crook, with us. Let's take a very quick call on Trent Alexander-Arnold. Oliver is a Liverpool fan. Morning, Oliver.
Morning, how you doing, lad? You all right?
Yeah.
All right,
really
Oliver.
Good, yeah. Would you like to see Trent back?
All good. I'd absolutely love to see Trent back. I think Mo Salah missed him very much last season. Obviously, Salah had a pretty poor season last season, but when he come back with Real Madrid, it was very frosty, and I think the damage is being done, to be honest with you, but I would love to see him back in a Liverpool shirt, yeah.
Look, there's no doubt. Nobody can doubt his quality. On the ball, he's as good as anything, anywhere.
He was winning games from right back. Obviously the Barcelona game in 2019, that cross, and then I think he was very, very important when we won the league with Slot as well. So much quality, from right back.
No doubt about it.
Yeah, brilliant. I think a lot of Liverpool fans would share that view. They'd all love to see Trent back. Oliver, thanks very much indeed.
Maybe Jeff as well. Thanks, Oliver. You wonder, though, whether the player, having not really done it at Real Madrid, would want to sort of maybe at least stick around for another 6 months to see exactly where he figures and where he fares. He'll know pretty soon. As players, you get the vibe whether or not you're on you're part of the in club or whether you're on the outside of it. Yeah. He'll know pretty soon. But what he won't want to do is sit around forever. That's for sure.
What about Gerald Quansah? It's interesting to hear Crookie said there's a buyback clause there.
Yeah. I still personally think nothing to do with the challenge that we saw in the World Cup. Listen, that wasn't a great challenge, but that happens. I think he would have a bit to do to become an absolute regular and a starter at Liverpool. Okay. And I think with where Liverpool were wanting to go, the way that they're trying to play, good young player, but again, I think they would be looking potentially, I think, for a bit more than what I've seen of him at the moment, to be honest.
Thanks, Andy. Up next, we will celebrate the return of the all-time talkSPORT legend.
Noticed that on social media, Curtis Jones liked the posts where Inter Milan announced Stones as a player.
He's acting like a spoiled brat.
I saw his behaviour last night on the pitch.
This was after the friendly.
Yeah, I understand the frustration that you should have got the armband. He's been, he's a scouser. He's been there 20 years. Blah 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 blah. But to act like that and for it to carry on, because it went on for about 2 minutes.
Was it him and Dominic Szoboszlai?
Yeah, he was having a go at Szoboszlai, who handed the armband over, I think, to Tsimikas, and I believe Curtis Jones had the temper tantrum over that. It's just like that behaviour can't happen. Not from a graduate from the academy. He's too into himself. So if he wants to go,
source of his frustration not so much the captain's armband in a pre-season friendly, it's the fact he wants to leave, is it?
Yeah, okay, so he wants to leave. Well, okay, now Liverpool have to get the best deal for the football club. That's how it works, okay? You don't get to throw your toys out of the pram and do it slowly, knowing him, and then act like that. I just don't understand it. You're playing for one of the biggest football clubs in the world. You came through the system. Behave. Stop. That's all eyes are on you. That's not behind closed doors. That might go on in training and all those things, but you don't want to see that going on actually for millions of people to watch.
It's not great for Andoni Iraola, fresh in the manager's.
No, and I'm sure he'll move past that. And I think Szoboszlai was asked in the press conference, and he didn't even talk about it. But it's just you hate seeing stuff like that. I really do. I think it's so petulant. Do you know what I mean? So, and then when you're liking Inter Milan's post, okay, we get it. You want to go to Inter Milan, probably last 5 minutes out there.
So I remember when we were driving in your car, speed so fast it felt like I was drunk. City lights lay out before us, and your arm felt nice wrapped around my shoulder. And
there you go, Jeff. Now, who's that?
Oh, that's Luke Combs.
Correct. Luke Combs, right? Now, last night when I got on the tube on my way down to talkSPORT Towers, when I got on the tube last night, I obviously got on the tube at the same time everyone was pouring out of Wembley Stadium. And on their way home, I've never seen so many pairs of cowboy boots, Stetsons and tassels and everything. And man, woman and child all wearing it. Everyone's so into this country music. Are you?
No, I'm not. And I would say just straight off, by the way, that Tracy Chapman sings Fast Car a hell of a lot better. But
yes,
I don't mean to offend every Luke Combs fan there, but it's always been a section of the music business which has attracted huge audiences, but it's never been cool, has it? It's never been cool to love country.
No, well, it certainly is right now, and I was really surprised that the total cross section of the people that were clearly at that concert, young and old, and John Terry older than you and I. JT was there, was he?
Yeah, John
What,
Terry.
at the concert?
Yeah, he came on stage. He was invited on stage. So
Right.
he went on stage with a beer, and for some reason he got jeered by parts of the crowd. But
it's bound to happen in when,
wherever you go.
Wherever you go.
Of course it is.
But apparently he is an unbelievable. It's an unbelievable act, and his show is a great show, and it's just amazing how that country scene has taken off. Being in Dallas for a month, Jeff, I saw plenty of cowboy boots and Stetsons, believe me.
Yeah.
And seeing all that lot there again last night was incredible. When they're on their way home, they
And seriously,
absolutely love it.
If you look on Wikipedia, which is obviously what I'm doing now because I don't think my Luke Combs, but with awards and nominations every year since 2017, the list is absolutely endless.
What he's won of awards from the
Country
business.
Music Association Awards, Billboard Music Awards, ARIA Music Awards, National Songwriter Awards, People's Choice Awards. He has won the lot.
But he's no Glenn Campbell with Wichita Lineman, is he? Come on.
Yeah.
I used to love that song. What a great song.
David has said, did John Terry have a full Chelsea kit on? Oh, David, you're very naughty.
David.
Very naughty.
You're better than that.
Greeno, just a quick one here. Greeno said, I don't want him to leave. He's a Spurs fan, Greeno. I'm shocked nobody's sniffing around Mickey van der Ven, especially Liverpool. He looks suited to them.
I like Mickey van der Ven. I do. I think that he looked like he lost the plot a little bit. You know, at Spurs last season, there was times clearly when he wasn't right. I think mentally rather than anything else. But when he's absolutely on his game and he's right, Jeff, he's got all the attributes that a modern day defender would want: bags of pace, big left foot, booming left foot. You know, there's a lot of reasons to like someone like Mickey van der Ven, and they're at the right money. But I would imagine that would. I don't see Spurs wanting to do any business in that respect. I would have thought he's going to be pivotal to what De Zerbi is trying to create there.
Yeah. Just a few minutes left, Andy. We've not really had a chance. We've not even touched on Newcastle, to be brutally honest. Part of company with Eddie Howe at the back end of last week. Matthias Jessler, the new man through the door. I don't envy him, I have to be honest. Were you surprised that Eddie went?
No, I wasn't surprised. I think Eddie's done great. 5 years is more than is probably double what most Premier League managers tend to get. I think Eddie had brought success to Newcastle. I think the team that he shaped was a really interesting one, a good one. And clearly, Jeff, Eddie's probably seen one or too many going out the door, probably without him nodding his head in agreement. And he's probably thought, now's the time for me to go. And I admire the fact that he's gone and he goes and he's now he can have a breather for a month or two, and then he's absolutely in pole position when anything should arise that he takes his fancy to. So why not?
Surely the club's changed the goalposts with him, because otherwise he wouldn't have stayed at the end of last season and gone 3 weeks before the start of a new season.
Look, it does happen. It's happened in the past when managers, literally on the cusp of a new season, they go for whatever reason. I remember Martin O'Neill famously when he was at Villa, like just a few days before I think the opening game, Martin had fallen out, I think, with Randy Lerner or whatever, a disagreement, and he was out the door. And it does happen. And as we know, football is forever moving. It's always changing. And something that's said today doesn't seem to hold stock tomorrow. And I think as a coach, you have to start to get that gut feeling whether you think now's the time for me to go. And it's always a brave call because most managers will stay until they get hoofed out the door. Eddie's kept his integrity, and I think by saying, I'm done, I'm going to move on, thanks very much.
From a Newcastle perspective? I mean,
from a Newcastle point of view.
No Tonali, no Anthony Gordon, a lot of speculation about Bruno. How do you think they'll do?
I think it's going to be a very, very tough season for them. Look, the new coach comes in. I was reading some stats the other day because he's obviously I think he's out in Saudi, isn't he? Does he come from? And someone said, his numbers out there are really good. You know, his win rate, his win percentage rate. It's like, listen, guys, whatever his win percentage rate out there is, forget that. It's going to be a very, very difficult campaign for Newcastle because now Eddie goes, Bruno's gone, Isak's gone, Anthony Gordon's gone. Others all want to go, Jeff. Others, I'm telling you, when that starts to happen at a club, that can really be a problem for you because other senior players then start to think everyone's bailing out, I want out as well. And that's when it can be, it's very difficult to stop that. I remember when in my time at Villa, and I was much older than these guys, but I remember when I left and then Dwight York went to Manchester United, Hugo Ehiog, Mark Bosnich left, Gareth Southgate eventually left. All of a sudden, there's this feeling that no, what's happening at that club is the good time's gone and it's now time to leave. And so Newcastle have got to be careful of that.
Okay. We shall see.
Yeah.
Now, forget managerial changes, transfers, forget all of that. The biggest news of August so far is that this man is returning to your airwaves.
Okay, DJ.
I feel good.
Rewind. This is talkSPORT Breakfast with me, Alan Brazil. It's 2050 and I'm 90-year-old, yes, and I still haven't been sacked. I am not a script reader. I ad-lib, right?
Hold on. Recording. Silencio, s'il vous plaît.
Go! Always believe in your soul.
You understand, David? You have was in France, no?
Radio is repetitive because there's people coming in and coming out, coming in and out all the time. That's why you repeat yourself, okay?
What did you say radio was there?
Repetitive.
The world has gone mad, I'm telling you. Excuse me, blooming hell.
I'm not a hero. Don't worry about that.
Always believe in.
A roar. Gus Poyet, who's down at Shanghai Shenhua. Don't sound surprised, you tube. You don't like it? Radio 4, tube. A roar.
Brilliant. Looking forward to it.
Looking forward to seeing the big man back through the doors. I shall be listening. And look, he's had a tough old time, but looking at, I mean, I haven't seen how in the flesh, but looking at the pictures of him, he looks in great nick.
Yeah.
So listen, good luck to him, and I'm sure he'll be back with a bang.
Brilliant, absolutely. Andy, lovely company, mate.
Thanks, Jeff. Thank you.
Alan Brazil and Gabby, Wednesday morning from 6. Tomorrow morning from 6. Me and Gabby. Coming up next, it's Alex Crook and Kevin Nolan.
I mean, I wake up every morning now feeling so lucky that Unai Emery's still there.
Yeah.
Because people laugh about these FSR, whatever they're called, financial fair play rules. They're a joke. Look at Aston Villa, right? Finish in the top 4, win the Europa League, and then your best player, Morgan Rogers, leaves. Why can't Aston Villa keep hold of their best players and then say, we're going to get to spend 150 mil like Chelsea, Man City, Liverpool, Arsenal, and then why can't we go and challenge for the title? These rules, they're there to keep the so-called top 6 there.
Yeah.
And this season coming, the so-called top 6, they call it, will finish in the top 6. I'm sure of it.
Gab,
Aston Villa, with what they're able to bring in, I'm going to be able to challenge.
Gab, I've had a conversation with you.
This time last year, that Unai Emery, this time next year, we'll be lucky to have Unai Emery as the manager. Because it's great on every manager.
Gab, I've had a conversation with you before, and I've said that if a big club like Manchester United comes in for your manager or players, they'll leave. And you're like, no, that would never happen. How's Youri Tielemans working out for you?
Yeah, but that's a really